Alright, for real, I'm gonna turn this down just a little bit so I can actually talk to you all here. How's everyone doing? Hopefully the weekend has been treating you well. Whether you're justifiably in the middle of it or maybe coming to an end of it, I hope the weekend is going quite well for you. I'm just big chilling on a Sunday. My partner has left for work. I have no car. I can't really go anywhere. So once again, I've just decided, hey, it's Sunday. I was gonna watch this anyway. I was gonna nestle up and watch this anyway. But let's do it cool. Let's share it with people. There might be people out there who might like Jet Set Radio Future, and the marketing machine that is known as social media has not made it out to everyone out there. So I hope you have your groovy beats and your groovy heated drink with you. Maybe a groovy heated blanket, so we can enjoy a cool documentary by the fans of Jet Set Radio. Things were going quite bad. Well, I hope the things that were going quite bad has gone off and fucked itself, so that you can have a much better time. Because I'm glad to hear that things are going better now, but I hope the bad things have fucked all the way off, so that you are doing good. What's up, Boix? What's up, Empress of Myth? What's up, Sandox? What's up, Twani? What's up, Eggball? 55th Eggball. There's been a lot of good egg balls out there, but they stopped producing them at number 55 because that was just the best one, honestly. There was no reason to, outdo perfection. All right, let's turn this down a little bit more here. We have like another minute. Or rather, I'm going to wait another minute because I'm still preparing on my end. I'm not at maximum comfort yet. I got my big fuzzy blanket. My water is now full. I have the remainder of my coffee from yesterday when I was at the RetroCon, which, by the way, Boix, make sure that you shoot me your address so I can actually send you stuff. You can't just say gaming and then not actually send me your address. Hey, tell me your address when you can. Gaming. Boix, no. I need more to work with, Boix, please. I'm gonna open the windows to the outside because natural sunlight's good. Says the guy who's inside on a cloudy day. Natural sunlight is good. Oh, gosh. You went undefeated at your Magic tournament yesterday? Well, duh. How are they gonna beat someone in a flannel button down? Oh, you didn't. You didn't actually say you wanted to win. That's true. That's true. I just wanted you to go, on a win streak, and you started off the day perfectly with the flannel button down. No one fucks with someone for flannel button down. You know that person's serious. You get scared. It's spooky. I don't blame them. You're just good. You're just nice. That combination of bad brain and important paperwork not getting done right, and I had to leave Germany. Oh God. I did not realize that. Is this a temporary thing and you get to go back once the paperwork is fixed? I mean, you don't have to share here, obviously. You can share in whatever media you wish to. But at the very least, I hope that it's something that's quickly fixable and you can take the trip back. Albeit, that's a long flight. As an example, I had a great time in Seattle. But if I immediately got offered to go back to Seattle on someone else's dime, I would have to actually think about it. Because I'm like, oh my God, that was so long. That was so much travel. I need at least like a 2-month break before I go that far again. This is my stream. I said we're going to start in 15 minutes or so, but you know what? I can do some just chatting before then because I'm just vibing. I'm having a good time. This blanket's too hot. My feet hurt. I want to go home. I am home. I am home right now with a giant hot toddy. Love me a hot toddy. I actually brought some yuzu lemon back from Seattle from their Uwaji store, which is a large, very nice Japanese-focused grocery store. But I brought some yuzu lemon, I keep saying yuzu lemon, yuzu honey while I was over there and brought that back, and it is super good. And it goes perfect in a hot toddy because it's like, hey, here's a little bit of extra citrus that comes with a little bit of sweet and infused in such a way that the honey's actually very light So you actually don't have to make a honey syrup out of it necessarily. You can just put it in the hot water directly, so that's super nice. And you get added flavor to the citrus. And then when I have an orange Jameson as well, it just makes for a very good punchy flavor combination that still turns out just the right level of sweet. So it's super nice. Yeah, Luigi is so fucking cool. I went there like maybe 4 times over my vacation. I went to Pike's, or I keep calling it Pike's, I don't know why, but Pike Place like 4 times over my vacation, and I went to Luigi like 4 times over my vacation / International District. Like, that was like the 2 places that I was like, if you need to find me and you couldn't find me, that would have been where I was at. An 18-hour layover in Helsinki. Oh my god! But you got to go to a cool art museum there. That's at least really cool. Made the most of it, and that's always what's important, right? I was halfway considering, and I'm glad I did in the long run, when I was flying back from Seattle, having a 6 to 7 hour layover in Denver so I could have like food with somebody. And I looked at it, I'm like, you know what? No, I don't want to pay $70 to come out of the airport, have lunch, and then be dragged back to the airport. I don't want to pay that extra $70, which was good in the long run because I was getting quite sick on the way back, as you might have heard from other streamers who were there, that everyone was getting quite sick. I seem to be like 99%, if not 100% better, I'd say, from the sickness. All right, well, let's not delay any longer. Let's go watch a cool video about Jet Set Radio Future. Hopefully you are sufficiently relaxed. You got your drinks on, maybe a blanket or some warm socks, a nice little pillow for your butt if you are sitting in a harder chair. I'm gonna turn off the cool vibe music. Although I really like this overlay. I really like this overlay a lot. Like, if it wasn't already my brand to have like all the art going on, and there was some way I could like incorporate it a little bit better, I would love to just have Pizza Hotline's videos overlaid over the subject of today's game or whatever we're doing. Because I'm really proud of this. I don't know why. I didn't do anything. Like, it wasn't me who made this, but it's still so cool to just overlay like this. All right. Enough good music for now. We got to go to, well, also good music, but we gotta get our history on with the most important occurrences in history, like the release of Jet Set Radio Future. So I'll go ahead and turn that off there. But yeah. Oh, there's one thing I actually wanted to do before I get the video started. I'm gonna have to small it out for a second here and then go back in, because the one thing I wanted to make sure I had was a link to the video. So if anyone is unable to watch for actually, can I just pull from here? No, that'd be too easy. The link I grabbed is too long, so I'm going to grab a proper link here. Just in case, anyone does not have enough time to sit through the whole time and wants to, watch the video a little bit later or anything like that, I want to have it on copy paste so that they can save it to whatever video thing that they have or anything like that. And, they can watch it at their own time because, this is just me chilling. And maybe this is not a good chill time for you, but nonetheless, it is there for you. What's up, Coco Jam? How's it going? How is your Sunday treating you? All right. I think the volume should be good, but, let's do it. We should be balanced. We should be pretty balanced.
We do not understand the concept of love. Come on!
Last night at 10 o'clock, we took
and it's starting off with some Too Mellow in there. Hell yeah. Hopefully you all know who Too Mellow is, but don't be afraid to ask.
Derived from the invention of the skate.
It's the same feeling as skateboard, but the wheels are on our feet, stuck on our feet. We can jump over cars and stuff as opposed to a skateboard,
Now, I ain't gonna lie, the 80s are built different when it comes to their, adventure, new sports, like with Frisbee, rollerblading, and skateboarding. They just have a completely different understanding of what we have nowadays.
The only thing I can define it by is incredible, individual, rebel sport.
The marquee still up? Well, you still have time to go grab a new drink. That's important. You gotta know. You gotta know that it's not... You can still grab a drink. All right, thank you for that. Appreciate it. But glad to hear it's going good for you. Hopefully it gets better with this hopefully cool documentary. I can't imagine it won't be cool. Because it's about Jet Set Radio. How can you not? But I did find this because, oh wow, Richard Jacques actually got interviewed for this? That's insane. One of the main music makers of this and other Sega games. Good composer there. But yeah, 2Mello was the one who actually posted about this and did an interview for it, which music is a really big part of Jet Set Radio, if you do not know. So when he posted that out there, I'm like, okay, I'm very curious. They're definitely using a lot of his music for this as well, because it's heavily inspired.
Video games from the 2000s are being lost to time.
You should, Moses Plant. Here you go. Let me get this to you again.
This means many video games from that era
What's up,
have
Jason?
fallen
How you
into
doing?
the cracks. This film aims to highlight the story and experiences derived from such a game.
Oh, wow.
This is the untold story of Sega's estranged masterpiece,
I've heard of a video game once. They sound pretty awful.
Jet Set Radio Future.
Oh my god. I didn't have an Xbox for long, but even I remember seeing that. Jesus. Gotta freelance the usual. The unfortunate usual. Because if you explain that to anybody else, they'd be like, what? No, why? Actually, everyone would understand, but they also be like, oh, that would be so cool, though. I still hope you find your happiness, though, like, legitimately. I'm so sad to hear that you're kind of still struggling with that. But hit me up with any updates. And or giving me any reason to visit Japan. Any reason at all to let me visit Japan. Give me the excuse. Yeah, Jet Set Radio fucking bleeds style. It really is like established a style of like era of like music slash. Hey, skating can be really futuristic and cool. Tony Hawk made current skating cool. They made future skating cool. Like how we look at future funk and stuff like that.
In the world of games, a revolution happens every couple years or so. And
Bought it but never beat it? Oh shit, you gotta play it. You gotta beat it as well. What's up, John Dona? How you doing? Well, now you're gonna learn all about it, and hopefully it's enough inspiration for you to do it.
Sonic and Dreamcast will be introduced in Japan on December 27th.
Is the volume good, by the way? Can you turn it up?
We in the US will have to wait till next fall.
Just another day at the office for Peter Moore.
That's great.
President and COO
That's
of
super
Sega
great.
of America Dreamcast.
Our retail receipts for consoles and software will be bigger than the movie receipts of the box office.
That was only true. That was only true.
Sega's dreams and ambitions were bigger than ever before. Sega was the underdog, competing in an uphill battle against two other prominent players, Nintendo and
Oh,
Sony.
really? It's a hotel now.
Plumber boy, mustache man, your worst nightmare has arrived.
Oh my god.
In order
Those
to
fucking
survive,
commercials.
the Sega Dreamcast had to stand out amongst the
Damn, you
crowd.
gotta take me to the new
It
Sega
needed
building. That's
an
why I gotta go to
exclusive
Japan
selection
now.
of games, unique and bold enough to reel in new players.
I'm gonna turn the volume a little bit. Just a little
Explore
bit.
this further. We'll wend our way into Sega, hop up the elevator, and take a little look around. What do you say?
One of the most notable was none
Let's
other
make the gameplay
than
be something to be designed for
Jet
self-styled
Set
adult.
Radio.
Future, I would say personally, yes.
Developed by SmileBit,
But I'm a bit
Jet
weird
Set
when it comes to
Radio
video
took
games.
Sega's
I would say it's still
underdog
worth playing.
perspective to heart by
Though.
envisioning a bright and vibrant story.
It's just really
that
unique. Nothing else
emphasized the
fills that
importance of
niche
free
until
speech and
Bomb Funk City
self-expression.
comes out. I love the Dreamcast as well. I love the Dreamcast
It's a
as
game
well. I can
about
relate.
getting a crew together,
Yeah, Wooly.
blasting band music, and tagging the walls of Cartoon Tokyo, not stopping even when the police tanks roll in, and not stopping when the CEOs start summoning demons. My name is Wooly. I do Let's Plays on YouTube. I grew up as an arcade kid playing fighting games, and Jet Set Radio, or Jet Grind Radio at the time, stood out.
It is
because
Wooly. It
was
is that
just
Wooly.
drastically bold with its visuals.
Decent for some vanilla marble. That sounds like
the
Wooly.
art director was,
Yeah.
you know, I think
Fuck
it's his
yeah.
idea. They were just playing around and came up with the cell shading technique, and they didn't really know what they were building. They just came up with the sort of technique and the graphical look, and they were all into street
Yeah,
culture
yeah,
and
go to
things
sleep,
like that. And
wake
I think
up,
they
and then
built
chat
the
me
game
up.
around that.
Night Moses plan. Take care of yourself. Good to see you as always.
I
though.
believe back when
Love you, buddy.
Jet Set Radio was first coming out, it came out in Japan. When they were going to port it to America, there was some licensing issues because I believe the term Jet Set was copyrighted. Sega didn't really want to get in trouble with that, so they renamed it to Jet Grind Radio, which, you know, it makes sense given that's what you're doing for most of the game.
It's a
Yeah, that checks
shame
out.
you couldn't use Jet Set
Can you
Radio
actually
because I think
DM
that's a
me that,
really, really cool
John
name,
Donut?
but Jet
Because
Grind, you know,
I have a
it does
copy and
encompass
paste
the
specifically for this
whole,
video,
you know,
just in case anyone
roller
asks
skating,
for it.
rollerblading thing. So again, it works very well for the game.
Sega's errors as a company, though, have been well documented. Its last home console flopped, and it's seen its market share plummet from more than 50% to about 1%. Can Dreamcast end Sega's nightmare?
They have a lot of
didn't realize it was that
on
bad.
the Dreamcast. Again, they're a leap. It's sort of a leap in video game technology, and Sega's going to use this to make a comeback into the marketplace.
50% to 1%? It was that bad. Oh my god.
Sadly, however interesting and unique Jet Set Radio's aesthetic may have been, it and the rest of Sega Dreamcast's wild collection of games were not enough to save the console from its imminent death.
その日、セガエンタープライズ専務湯川秀和は驚くべき街の声を耳にした。セガなんてだってよな。PS の方が面白いよね。
そうなのか。なんてことだ。止めてくれ。一人になりたいんだ。
セガなんてだってよな。
We had a crew of people who were very into being the underdog.
I'll allow you to die like a warrior.
Speaking of games I should replay, yes, I've replayed it 3 times, but I would like to play it again.
Becoming the underdog almost galvanized us further. Really brought us together as a team because we knew exactly what we had to do.
And they thought, you know, we drop our price, we come out aggressive with all kinds of things, including you could have a free Dreamcast. And it wasn't enough. They pushed. And at the end of Christmas, they hadn't made headway.
What are you saying?
Rumors started coming out that Sega was no longer manufacturing Dreamcast.
God, this fucking... I like how they did that. That's great.
Hi, welcome to Sega.
Although the Sega Dreamcast was discontinued in 2001, Sega's sense of rebellion and desire to craft incomparable digital experiences lived on.
Now everyone, let's march to the end of the galaxy.
This is a game I need to play, I think. I had it for a little bit, but I never actually played it. I'm in the John Donut position.
Microsoft was launching their first console and needed an engaging selection of games to reel in new players.
The Xbox is everything The Rock is. Cutting edge, powerful, exhilarating, and like The Rock, it will be the most electrifying thing coming out this year.
Sega made a deal with Microsoft
that never gets
to
old.
have
He's such a
Smilebit,
salesman.
the developers
Happy
of
Easter,
Jet Set
Xbox.
Radio, develop a
Thanks,
new
Usher.
exclusive title for the original Xbox.
We were able to successfully convert the Sega fan base to other hardware platforms.
So you get
via
Xbox?
our
Wow,
games.
you gained so
We were
much
able
from
to
that. What the
explain to
fuck?
gamers, yeah, you can still have your Jet Grind Radio.
You didn't
But it's
realize
just gonna happen
that
on these other platforms, but we promise
made you a
it'll be the
gamer.
same exact wonderful gameplay experience.
In order to save time and money, Smilebit capitalized on the work they had already done on Jet Set Radio. They did so by revisiting the world of Tokyo-To and developing the retro-futuristic masterpiece now known as
Jet Set Radio Future.
Jet Set Radio Future.
Jet Set Radio Future!
Jet Set Radio
Stolen?
Future sets the tone from the get-go.
I hope they
eager
fall in
to
the
tell
street
an
and embarrass
inspiring
themselves in front of
story
everybody.
about gangs of skaters and street artists
That's fucked
saving
up.
their city
I don't like
from
them.
the oppressive
Whoever that
grip
is, I don't
of a
like them.
totalitarian police state, all while staying funky to the beats of DJ Professor K.
Yeah, this is DJ Professor K, baby, the master of mayhem, know what I'm saying? Bring you another Tokyo Underground pirate radio broadcast from Jet Set Radio. I'm gonna bust into your head through your cute little ears and blow your mind with my sexy voice and out of sight sound.
I want to be Professor K when I grow up. Professor K follows you on Twitter. I think it does actually that for me as well. I don't know why it happened. He just did. I'm like, great,
The
excellent.
legendary video game made by Sega, originally for the Monster Xbox.
graffiti tagging, street art.
The coolest cell
Back when
shaded
they had that radio. Did they still have the Jet Set radio?
Skating game ever?
Platformer, 3D.
I would describe it as an experience.
Exploration.
It's definitely a game that is life-changing.
Amazing game for the Xbox.
You know, that's a really good way of
And
putting
it
it.
came free with your Xbox.
It came free with your Xbox, yeah.
Yeah, you're a
Not
bunch of
a
kids
meme.
who's rollerblading and are rebels who likes to tag stuff
But
illegally.
a lot of Dreamcast games were
But it's fun.
a big experience. There were a lot of experiences to be had. So I'm like, that's why I'm saying, like, you should play the game because it's just, there's nothing else to experience that.
Jet Set Radio
Still,
Future
to
was
this
not
day.
a remake of the original Jet Set Radio, nor was it a sequel.
You know, when you remix something, it's not about
Your
making it
fucking
better. It's
Xbox.
about it maybe extending the
Well, I
life
have the
or taking it
oldest
in a slightly
Xbox 360
different
known to
route.
man, Nine Boat.
Jet Set Radio Future
What's up, Nine
was
Boat?
an
How you
edgier,
doing?
more polished take with textures more rich in detail and colors more vibrant than ever before.
No, you're gonna dig this.
The soundtrack became funkier,
Boy, NES, Genesis, PS1, Jesus fuck. God damn. And just say real live still
characters
exists.
grew
Fuck
more
yeah.
diverse
I'm
in
turning it on for
style
work
and
on Monday.
background, and the story's soul became much deeper and more vocal about the world issues it aimed to address.
Yo, Jet Set Radio. What's up, Thousand Rap? How you doing, fam?
Smilebit treated Jet Set Radio Future as if it were a futuristic cultural movement, believing that in order for it to succeed, its aesthetic needed to be revolutionary. Revolutionary in the way it looked, in the way it sounded, in the way it felt, especially from the player's perspective.
It's a game that really captures an essence and like a period of time.
Yo, shout out to your
I
friend
think
for
people
unintentionally
are
working as
still
like a
holding on
safeguard
to Jet Set Radio Future
and not stealing your
because
fucking shit.
A lot of the things it excels
That's
at
too much.
portraying are still popular today. Like skater culture and rollerblading is super alive. Hip hop music is still obviously popular as hell. Y2K style and fashion has been doing its thing. And I think it's not just
That's
out
true,
of
it was around the
nostalgia that these
2000s,
things
so
are
we
so
had that 2000
popular. It's
style.
that they just all kept their staying power individually.
I need to stream this game,
And
period.
this is a game that showcases
It's just so
all these
cool.
things.
20, if you stream it, let me in. Let me hang out on your mic for like 20 minutes per stream. That's all I need. 20 minutes. 20 minutes on the 20 stream. No, I was right. That's fair. That's fair. You might look at the gameplay and you're like, it's lame. It's cell shaded. Look, I wrote off Brave Prince and Musashi when I was younger. That was a mistake and a half. I don't blame you, Alfred. We were young and dumb. How this game plays
Jet
much
Set
like
Radio
everything about.
Future
I agree.
released
I
in
100% agree, though, boys.
2002.
I wish
The
it
turn of the
whipped, and that's
century
why I have
pushed
a
people's
whole high hope
imaginations
for
to come up with
Bomb Funk
countless
City. Or
ideas
I can't
of
never
what the
rate.
future could hold.
But the spiritual successor by the folks who made Lethal League, I'm like, I have extremely high hopes.
JSRF's bright citrus-colored vision
Yo,
of
shit,
tomorrow
let me know. Yeah, please.
took and blended many.
I'm gonna actually hit you up anyway,
groundbreaking
20,
artistic
for a
elements
potential
of the
movie day
past
again,
in
if you're
order
up
to
at this
create
hour.
this alternative futuristic masterpiece.
God, that's gorgeous.
With a combination of styles
What about
ranging
us?
from 1960s
Yeah.
and 1970s
We just didn't know
funk,
at the time that
funkadelic,
that's what was gonna
and
happen.
Japanese architecture to 1990s
Now we're like,
hip-hop,
oh, yeah.
rock, and urban scenes.
Style
JSRF
outlasts, but style
creates
also
a
didn't make money
world
for the
of
most part
cultural
either.
elements from various decades that somehow works.
Same brain cell. Yeah. Also, what's up, more? How you doing?
The biggest and brightest artistic elements of the game come from Tokyo Toe's high-rises, covered in a blend of faded logos, neon ads, and bright graffiti.
And this is before I visited Japan as well. So now that I'm like looking at it now, and like
What
after I've
gives
gone to Japan
Jet Set
twice, I'm just
Radio
like,
Future
oh, this
its
hits so
visual
good. They
voice
did a great
is
job
not
with this,
simply
even
the
more
bright
so.
and colorful aspects that seem to be the loudest. but rather the exposition of that juxtaposed to the grungy, grimy, rundown textures and atmospheres that exist.
And now I'm an adult, I understand more of that sort of like deviation between what looks good on the outside and what's really happening
sewers,
once you're off the main streets.
Industrial zones, and overcrowded
I
residential
ran back a little bit later. I was
neighborhoods.
like, oh, not this tweaking.
JSRF
It's a tweaking. This is
aims to
lit.
paint a picture of a believable world as diverse.
See,
and
we make up for our mistakes
as the
eventually,
palette of
usually,
music,
probably.
fashion, and character
Now that we're
designs
older,
it offers.
and we realize that we have a limited amount of time. Maybe we should try new things. Some people don't, though. Some people just want to go to Chili's every Friday. And you know what? That's fine. Whatever. Enjoy your Chili's. But let's play some cool games while we're all along the way. There he is. There's Peepo.
Like that. Like this, like that. Like this, like that. Like this, like that.
The cast of quirky characters from Jet Set Radio made a triumphant and transformative return in Jet Set Radio Future.
Oh, was your first one? That was a Jet Set Radio Future one? Oh, shit.
In a few interviews before the release of Jet Set Radio
Good
Future,
choice. Once again,
Smilebit
Poix makes great
insinuated
music, y'all.
that JSRF
Makes
exists
great
in a
mashups.
separate universe
Poix
parallel
post
to that
mashups.
of JSR.
Post your latest album.
Like this, like that. Like this, like that.
Like this, like that. Actually,
Smilebit
damn, I'm
staff
surprised we don't have a
also went on
remix
to say
using
that some
Dormammu
characters
samples.
have returned and grown up since the last time players encountered them.
I like that a lot. Look, I'm not gonna lie, y'all. Cube was close to one of my first video game crushes.
But these weren't just familiar
Cube was a
characters
huge
all
crush when I was
grown up.
younger.
The characters
Oh, there
in
is?
Jet Set Radio Future.
We have Jet Set
were
Radio Future?
reimaginings of familiar
Okay, I did not know
manga-like
that.
Icons
I knew there
from
was
Jet
one with
Set
Bust a
Radio,
Groove out of all
only this
fucking things,
time
right?
They were embedded in the retro
Because of that meme
futuristic
video.
setting of Tokyo-to.
Come along, children. Now we're going to have a little music. Like old times. Like old times. Look, now I'll start the melody on the organ.
A place where citizens work hard, corrupt
If you're sitting to
politicians and
me,
consumers of the
Alzaraf,
land,
go ahead and
and
DM
the
it to me
fragility
because
of
I
peace
can't
is
click away. I
constantly
can't do
tested
anything.
by
I'm gonna
being
lose it.
pushed
I'm gonna lose it in the next hour. I'm not gonna lie to you. If you're sending something to me, just DM it to me. It's fine. I just don't want to lose it.
It's here that we meet JSRF's unforgettable cast of characters.
Definitely, I would say, John Jonah, play Jet Set Radio, the first one. If it catches your style enough and you like it enough, then go to Future. If you hate the
but they're
gameplay
all
enough
different.
from
All of
Jet
the
Set Radio,
characters
don't go to
are
Future. Do
modeled
not go to
to
Future.
fit
It will
their
not be
own
worth your time
unique
for the aesthetic, and just listen to the OST.
It's just done so perfectly.
If I had to choose one that would be my favorite character, it would have to be Cube, honestly.
Yo, same, Cheeto.
Realistically speaking, why I choose her is because
Same.
she's the goth girl representation that's in skating communities
That's
now.
also broken rule.
My favorite character has to be Boogie, mainly because she is
Boogie's
one of
also
the
very, very
only
good.
black female
I like
characters in
Piranha
the
a
game.
lot as well,
You can
in
get
retrospect.
a vibe of what their personality would be like, and I really like hers. Obviously, I feel she's most relatable to me.
Characters like Beat, Gum, and Korn tend to take the spotlight in
This motherfucker's name was
JSRF's
Korn? I
mainstream
completely forgot.
marketing. Meanwhile, other characters like Jazz, Cube, Combo, Yo-Yo, and Soda tend to be well-known cult favorites.
You have a knitted gum hat? Oh, that fucking rules. Also, wasn't get serious? It really does. It has that future or that past, that nostalgia that we've never lived. And there's a really big vibe for that nowadays. That we're like the generation that's been able to grow up in nostalgia and revisit that in different ways. I'll send a pic, please do. You can drop a pic in chat as well if you like. That's a droppable pic in chat, but send it to me as well so I can check it out.
Society, and even our culture.
Cube. Everyone's like Cube, yeah. I think. Gee, I wonder where our love for the goth girl meme comes from nowadays. Could be anything.
Even buying off the police department. This law ain't nothing but garbage. It's just some
What's up, what's up? How you
punks
doing?
where you're trying to show he's a big man. Rukaku and his gang are trying to stomp out our culture left and
Also,
right.
you can't see it
And
obviously,
give a
but
rip about our rights.
I'm actually bouncing my
All
head
they'll
to this
care
video
about is
super
profit.
hard.
And some
I
spineless
am
fools
vibing.
have already become flunkies in their diabolical scheme. You better
It's a
believe
mystery.
they're listening
It is a
on this
mystery.
broadcast.
Ghost reaching out to the side and shrugging.
There's a group of young kids who've been tearing up the streets. The hottest team at the moment is the GGs. There's Yo-Yo,
More good music? That's right. Metabot, I am glad you were here.
Hello, I am Hugh, and welcome to the Shapes Museum.
And I am glad that we are celebrating the Shapes Museum live on a Sunday. You love to see it. Metabot, thank you for 22 whole days. Holy shit, 22 days? That's actually bonkers. A subscription. I greatly appreciate it. Love me 22 cubes on a day.
The mysterious blackout on 99th Street. And who should be following them around but the Rikaku Group's watchdog, the Rikaku Police. With the Rikaku Expo just around the corner, the crackdowns are only getting tighter.
My heart ain't pounding like
God, this hits so much more now that I'm an adult and understand, you know, the rebel versus the order kind of dichotomy from a first-person perspective now.
And y'all gonna be the one making the plays.
Yeah, ACAB, like that being like now a much more integral part of my life. I'm like, I get it
DJ
now.
Professor
From like my heart
is
that
one of the
this
best
is cool.
representations of the hip hop scene. From his funky choice of diction to his street smart advice, he looks out for
Also,
the
they got a
community
really
that
good
is being
voice actor
oppressed
for
and
Professor
excluded
K.
from society.
Like, that feels like something
by
that's
giving
really
them
hard to hit,
insight
but they
and
managed
guidance
it. I'm
via
legit
Jet Set
impressed
Radio.
in retrospect that they managed to nail that and not just get someone who's just
Your ears won't even know what
kind of faking it, I guess, in a way.
In the
Professor
original
K's
Jet Set
coat.
Radio game on
The coat.
Dreamcast,
The coat. You know, the
DJ
coat.
Professor K took on a much less significant role. The reimagining of his character in Jet Set Radio Future became much more personal as he voiced his concern and care for the player, the GGs, the graffiti gang the player is a part of, and ultimately anyone in need.
Who's gonna rise to the call? Remember, the streets don't wait for no one. Yo!
At the beginning of the game, the player joins a gang called the GGs.
You know, the GGs are they're the G's, like they're the heroes.
If you really look at the kinds of places you go outside of the GG hideout, I see commercialism, like people really
this shit
gathered
hits
up
a lot harder
outside
as
of
well.
Stores. I see underdeveloped areas of the city that have tons of like construction going
Can you
on.
imagine?
And areas that look like they were, abandoned.
The environments in the game seem to be a lot bigger
fusing
and
with
a lot
this
more
game to
expansive
create
than
something
the
completely
first
new.
game. And there are so many
Fusing with,
different paths you
Hideki
can take, but also
and just
you're,
making a whole
as you're playing the
album off
game,
of
you're
that and making
taking
a whole
in
music
so much
like scene after
of
that.
the
That'd be absolutely bonkers.
surrounding environments, whether it's shop fronts, apartment blocks, these little kind of side alleys, these underground passages, those kind of things are just totally unique.
It really feels
yeah,
like
100%. You could
there's
just
this
slap
small
Bridget into the
little
game,
artistic
and she would
scene,
be right at home.
in the middle
100%.
of Tokyo To.
She wouldn't have to even try. She already
graffiti that
she just
you're
needs to put the
putting
yo-yos
out,
down and
you're
just
putting
skate
that
along with
over
them. It's easy.
advertisements. You're putting that
Yo,
in
what's
this
up, Sin?
area
How you
that can be
doing?
really devoid of life, honestly. Like, I love that the game isn't afraid to get
this game
muddy
absolutely
and
whips,
ugly
and
with
I
some
love
of
hearing
its
about the development
textures
of it
and
and
how
like
you kind of paint
the
beauty over
fan
It's not long after
nostalgia
that the player is
behind it,
introduced to a
especially as an
variety
adult.
of other
Because I never played this as an
widely
adult,
creatively
and it hits a
costumed
lot harder
games throughout the
nowadays.
city of Tokyo To.
Arsonist, now that's a bad decision. Cause it's steadily dropping shit like a flock of pigeons. So listen as I paddle up your ear canals torrential. Waters on instrumental.
The game took a unique
Thank you, little
approach
Roger.
towards imagining
Just sends
comic
Roger up the
book-like
building to
characters and
tag it up
stories
high.
and applying them to gang culture.
Our ratios replacing those wannabes you're facing pros.
Each gang identifies with specific colors. This was more than likely inspired by gang culture in both Japan and the United States during the 1990s.
That definitely checks out.
Gangs like the Love Shockers, the Immortals, and Rapid 99 take to the streets to claim their turf. As the player wins
I still
friendly
listen to like
competitions in turf battles,
Radio,
members of
Future,
those gangs
and
join
remix
the players
OSTs
gang, the
and
GGs,
albums.
becoming unlockable and playable characters.
I still love
Gangs can
these
be toxic,
songs a lot.
dangerous,
They're super good.
and violent. But in Jet Set
Bike
Radio
Smash.
Future, the violence is limited, and the player becomes a part of a gang that fights
And Boyce was
back
just talking
using
about how
art
his
and
first
freedom of
mashup he ever
speech
did
as
was
their weapons of choice.
was a Jet Set Radio Future remix or mashup, I should say.
Passions
that
are
was
something
good.
that make individuals stand out amongst the crowd. And in Jet Set Radio Future, passion exists behind each and every character. Their passion and identities are expressed in a variety of ways that make them feel fully fleshed out.
Oh
and
yeah,
believable.
Samurai Champloo. I just finished rewatching that very recently, and it's very much like now that I'm rewatching, I'm like, oh my god, this music's
Iconic
even more
character
influential
designs
than I
ranging
remember.
from 1960s sci-fi.
But I have all the
to
vinyls now, so
2000s
it's
goth
good. I was
are
ready for it.
paired
I got all the
with signature
vinyls.
dance moves to match the style and individuality of each playable character.
That's it, a
I
vaporwave
love
hip hop
character
clothing came from
design
the series.
because
I can
the
see that.
way a
I
character
can see it a little bit in your
acts,
VTuber as well,
looks,
Silius.
and is
I can
shaped
kind of see it
can
just a
tell
little
you
bit.
everything about the character without them having to say anything. The use of diversity and representation in Jet Set Radio Future is one of the best that I've seen.
With like nationalities, there's definitely different type of nationalities there. African American, and then there's Asian.
There's a healthy amount of female characters as well as black characters and characters of color.
You have a youthful and racially diverse cast of characters representing the melting pot that formed new music styles like funk and hip hop in America.
Jet Set Radio or Jet Set Radio Future really aims to like feed you this diversity and representation of different cultures in like one special unit.
Also, might play this game
where
again. I really actually want to
it
work on
makes
making my
sense
own
and it's understandable.
tags this time that don't look like shit.
It would have been weird to have a game so inspired by like black music culture and not have any black characters in it.
Yeah,
so
that would be bad.
I'm glad that didn't happen.
Yeah, I'm glad that didn't
That would have
happen.
been like a little bit odd.
Yeah, this game really speaks to like heavy black culture, like the same
I
way that
think
kung
it's
fu
done
movies did,
in a way
where it's a lot from
that
like the
isn't so
oppressed side of
negatively
things by using having
stereotypical.
tools to fight against the
There's also
the
like
order
diverse
that
looking
rules over them.
NPCs.
And I feel like that hits a
there's
lot
people
harder
with
now that
different
we're actually a little bit
body
older as
types
well.
and different styles. It was really ahead of its time.
The creators of
I
the game
don't
didn't
think there's gonna be
have
Jet
a
Set
closed
Radio. I'm
mind,
not
and
gonna
they use
lie.
an open mind and
I think
imagination
Bomb
and choose different
Bomb Funk
types
City. I cannot remember the full name of that game
unique
ever when I recall it.
characteristics.
I think that's just gonna be it, honestly. And I think it's gonna be, what we should hinge our bets on. Then we can do Jet Set
Seeing
Radio.
faces, builds,
I don't
and
believe in
personalities
Sega
as
to make
diverse
it
as these made the fictional globalized
everything it
city
needs to
of
be,
Tokyo
if that makes sense.
more and more believable.
I don't think they'll
Having
hit home
a
where they
diverse
need
cast
to.
of counterculture characters like this truly makes Jet Set Radio Future feel ahead of its time.
But I still hope for it, but I wouldn't hinge any bets on it. If it became
believe
true,
every
I would just
character
sit
in
there and
that
say, I will wait for the
game,
game to come
although you
out
aren't
before I get
explicitly told
any
this
level
in the
excited.
story is kind of undergoing their own path and having their own like version of this revolution that's happening.
Yeah, something would be missing. Well, then again, they did do Sonic.
Each character holds a unique set of stats to match their personality.
What's the
and
one, the
style.
recent Sonic
These
that everyone
stats
liked that
can
wasn't
range
Frontiers?
anywhere from the amount of graffiti
With good
cans you can
music.
hold to the stamina needed to run from the police and pull off successful skating
They
tricks.
killed Sonic. Not that one either, though. Not that one either.
Through every aspect of Jet Set
Sonic
Radio
Mania, thank you,
Future,
thank you. They made Sonic
Smiley
Mania,
made sure
and
to
that one
encourage
wasn't missing
free
anything because they
speech
gave it
and
to the hands of the
creativity.
fans.
The graffiti left in the
If they
walls
let them
will
give it to the hands
remind
of the
people
fan
of their
here,
inner passions.
they could do it.
It'll burn into their minds.
Two
the
Mellow and
dreams of
other
the
artists
city
are
will be
doing
carried
the
on
music
through
side
the
of things.
streets.
They can fit that style in there. If they're able to give it to the fan base somewhere along the line, I think they can do it. But it's more of a matter of will they, because we still have a Sonic Mania 2, which feels insane because it's like their most beloved Sonic game in a long time.
It is
But they're
human
willing
nature
to do it,
seek
and that's
ways
the
of
important part.
exercising one's ability to express oneself. Every individual is uniquely different.
That's right, Sam.
Every
I would
mind
love to be
an
proven wrong.
independent
I'd rather be
universe
wrong.
of its own.
I would love to be
From
wrong.
funkadelic costumes
I want
and
someone to
character
call me out on
designs
this and
to
clip this and,
unconventional
and say,
music and
hey,
street
Ryuta,
art.
you fucking
Jet
idiot,
Set
you were
Radio
wrong.
Future
Good,
sets out
excellent.
to
10
make
out of 10. I'm streaming it now
self-expression
for
one of
free,
the main
and I'm going to give out a free
most
copy of the game.
recognizable themes
Hold that
of
to
the
me.
game.
It does. The strength of the game definitely lasts through the fans rather than the actual game itself.
The player literally takes down
Streets of Rage
the
4. Good point,
entire
actually, Silas.
Rokkaku
I forgot about Streets of Rage 4
Corporation
as well.
and saves the city of Tokyo
So there is a
with
possibility.
nothing but a spray can.
And it can be done, but they have to let it go.
Although the spray
have
can
to
can be
let
seen
it
as
go.
a symbol of rebellion,
Otherwise, something's going to
in
be
this
missing.
case, it is highly emphasized more so as a symbol of free speech.
Yeah, that hits a lot harder. Like I said, the tools to
By
kind
the end
of
of the
combat
game,
against
the
those in
player has
order.
experienced countless events that encourage and remind the player that free speech and unity are the ultimate weapons.
And one thing I really liked about Seattle when I was visiting out there was there was a lot of street art in the International District once you got off the main area, and I did a lot of I looked around, I was like, I'm enjoying all just the graffiti everywhere around this area. It fucking rules. And I like moving out of where I was living in Colorado as well, because that was a very clean and upkept area. But now I'm driving around here, there's street art everywhere out here, and I love that shit. I love that fucking shit.
Due to the immense success
also, dress like a mummy.
Pro Skater series.
Yeah, if you don't want to get caught, dress like a mummy. You might fall down a few hundred times, but no one's going to know who you are. They can't identify you. Just be a mummy.
Such memories.
Yeah, speaking of very similar, but of modern day, I didn't think they were going to go into Tony Hawk, but I mentioned the point earlier still. Shooting graffiti because of this game? Hell yeah, though. Hell yeah.
This is
it was
pretty cool.
self-expression. Get rid of the part of you that cringes.
This may have swayed
and be yourself.
Stylebit's decision
it's hard,
to shift their
but you can do
focus
it.
from technical graffiti mechanics in
yeah.
Jet Set Radio to technical skating mechanics.
I
in
just
Jet
wish
Set
they didn't
Radio
have to express
Future.
themselves on the gum wall. Fuck the gum wall. Oh, I hate the
to
gum
do
wall.
tricks
Gum wall's the worst thing I've ever
players will
experienced.
successfully match their style of trick
I
with
understand gum
various
wall, but I
rhythms.
hate gum wall.
Even though this is not a rhythm-based game,
Tony
when you're skating, it's like you're skating to the beat.
I want it to be that
especially
Tony
to
Hawk's not
certain
actually playable.
songs.
I want Tony Hawk's not playable. He's just from the back like, hey, do a kickflip. Because you know myself, I always do that, makes me happy. Hell yeah. I mean, no, it's true. You're right. You're right. That's true. You are a lot better at that than I was ever, and you were inspiration and to get to that point for myself. I was always inspired by how you talk to people on streams when we were very, very, very early in our
took the name Jet
establishing the Colorado anime scene.
A new critical and exhilarating feature to the game: jet boosting.
Jet boosting. It needed jet boosting. I'm not gonna lie. The game was very slow. it needed some sort of arcade action in there, and that was it helped.
Skating in the future, but this new form of transportation enhanced the player's ability to explore Tokyo Toe's open world in a new and exciting way.
Gum wall. it needs fixing. Basically, I hate the gum wall. Don't get rid of it, but I hate it. Don't move it. Let it exist. What's a meat shield? Meat shield being the gum shield. That's what forgiving the gum wall. Exactly. There we go. Whatever. Let the gum wall exist. Burn down the police station.
The hip-hop scene of Jet Set Radio Future paints a perfect representation of the hip-hop scene of the early 2000s.
Oh, that was clean.
And its influence on cultures across the world. At the time, artists like Eminem, Snoop Dogg, Missy Elliott, Jay-Z, and Nas were releasing some of the most impactful albums of all time.
True, that was a good year.
Other artists, like
in
Linkin
retrospect
Park,
for hip hop,
released albums that
And
did
then-
what hip hop does best.
Yeah, I was gonna say,
invent new sounds. And
Linkin
new
Park was kind
ways
of fusing the
conveying
way
same
as
soul
well
of
in
the
the middle.
genre.
Yeah, holy shit, what an era. Yo, what up, Zappa Slave? We are jetting some set, but only in the future. Only in the future. We gotta make sure we divide it up, you know?
A deep knowledge of hip hop is what's always separated Jet Set Radio from its imitators. And anyone who focuses on copying the surface level aesthetic of the games instead of looking back at the history and the inspirations, they may miss this.
And I think
all the
that's
major
why we have that
elements of
fandom.
hip hop are present in this game.
It included like DJing, it included MCing, dancing, tagging, you know, all the four elements of hip hop are like right there.
Well, hip hop culture was definitely a big influence on Jet Set Radio Future. I can say that with a degree of authority because I knew the culture. I grew up with the culture as it was happening.
You have a youthful
I
and
actually don't
racially
know.
diverse cast
What
of
did Richard
characters
Richard
representing the
Jacques
melting
work on
pot that formed new
with,
music
Grandmaster
styles
Flash?
like funk and
I
hip
don't
hop
know.
in America. So many other games treat hip hop like
If
a
anyone happens to
costume
know.
or a remix or like
Maybe they
a
just met in the
genre
studio
to
and just
have
called
their
it a day.
composer do as a novelty when their composer doesn't really make hip hop. Jet Set Radio Future, however, understands that it is an entire cultural music, and if you're going to take one part of it, you need to kind of take all of it.
I mean, I was in a sort of gang, but it was just a bunch of guys I used to hang around with, really. There's nothing sinister about it. We used to have dance battles and, MC battles and DJ battles, which was kind of funny being
I'll buy
a white
7, okay?
middle-class
Look,
kid
I'll buy
from
7.
the UK, but that's what everyone was doing. That was the time.
Yeah, because UK around that time was getting a lot more of that house garage stuff there. So it was also a good time for them to kind of, because they were building in a lot of that black culture that was really based off of with house created from the black culture. So that makes a lot of sense as well that UK really got involved in as well.
Underground cultural movement, and its distribution was homemade.
You couldn't purchase albums or records, and you couldn't hear hip-hop on the radio. The only way that you could participate in the culture musically was through these cassette tapes, which would circulate all throughout the city.
Similarly, in the world of JSRF, cassettes are spread throughout the city of Tokyo, waiting for the player to find them.
But they did it. Well, except Eminem. I will say Eminem did an important task of
new mystery tape. The player unlocks
bridging
new possibilities in the game.
I will say Eminem
The street
bridged
challenges
very
that
well
are
in a way
unlocked
that black
help the
communities
player
and
to
black
see the
cultures would not be able to
streets
do
and
to
the
white
city
communities and white
in a new
cultures
light
who
and
were
from a new
parents were looking
perspective.
at it and saying this is a troublesome thing. I think Eminem did it in such a way with such a kind of juvenile emotion that it got to the teenagers a lot faster in a way that could not be denied at that age. Problematic?
Although the beats
Absolutely.
can be
But
catchy. It is the community.
I think he did it in a way that
surrounding
could
the
not be
hip-hop
done by
scene
any
that
sort
have
of
allowed
black
the genre
artist
to stick
who might have
around
rapped about
for
the
so
same
long.
thing. And I think a good example now of someone who's semi-successful is Sad Kid,
To this
who
day,
kind of has that
this
more
genre
juvenile,
is
emotional
used
side
as a
of rap
platform
and
to
hip-hop.
speak out against controversial
And they hit that
topics
pretty
and
hard
issues
early.
that continue to plague
And
our
I mean, he's a good
society.
rapper. Don't get me wrong.
Issues
Eminem is a
like
good
systemic
rapper in
racism,
itself, skill set wise.
sexism, homophobia, transphobia, classism, ageism, and police brutality.
It did a lot of that, but let's not.
Hip-hop, more often than not, is a genre that is constantly innovating new, impactful ways
Let's
of
also not be real
delivering
here.
its messages.
There was a lot of black culture that highlighted homosexuality and trans and stuff like that until many later years. So I'm not going to give him full credit.
Why is the music important aspect of Jet Set Radio Future, you say? I think it's important because
And I'm glad they're
it
talking a
gives
lot
you
about the music as
vibe,
well.
It gives you a mood.
It's not just the score of the gameplay, it's the in-universe sound of like the counterculture that the Rudies
Oh my
are
God,
listening
boy, was it
to
that
and
long?
what they're trying to
Am
establish.
I old? Well, I mean, yes, but also it's one of those
mandatory to
shocking
their
moments. Like, am I
survival.
just that
Pirate
old?
Radio is
that
giving
I'm
them
not-
the updates
I'm
on
just like,
what's
oh,
going on in
oh.
the city, where the danger is coming from, and such. So
Wooly,
when you're
yep,
putting
yep, they got
together
Wooly
that
in here.
soundtrack that they're listening to,
They got Chi Down
you're
here.
putting together
they got
their lives.
Too
as
Mellow
well.
in here. They got Richard Jockus in here. You got a lot of cool people
The
in here.
station that'll teach you the things your parents and teachers are too afraid to. Jet Set Radio!
Hey, you're right, actually.
Now,
That hits a lot
open your books
harder in
to
current
page
day. Green Rap was such a good marketing game. Yeah, 100%. 100%.
Concept is
especially around
a
YouTube
collection
era,
of people that
where there
decide
were a
that
lot
they
of white YouTube
want to
rappers at that point
broadcast
as well.
Usually a specific genre, a specific type
But once
of
again,
music.
self-expression.
But it's technically not legal because they don't have a broadcasting license. They don't have commercial sponsorship, so it does come with an element of risk. Disclaimer.
All right,
I don't
boys, you take
condone
care of
anyone
yourself.
Breaking the
If
law.
you're streaming after I'm done, I assume that's what you're doing. Then I will swing through and hang out there until I have to do commentary later today.
A lot of different things. There have been a couple stations,
swinging
not
by,
that
bud.
many. The FCC
Send your
believes
address.
that all stations are on because they're frustrated DJs who just aren't good enough to get jobs.
It's
and
sad,
they
but
aren't good enough to make it.
sometimes the bridge needs to be
in
made
the
as
commercial
well.
segments, so they have to resort
And
to,
while the
to
outcome
pirating. That's what they think, but
Sorry, I'm listening to
there
this
have been
for a
only a couple stations like that. Most of them are just people, either DJs or regular people or whatever, who have an interest in radio and they want to put on whatever they put on.
Hey!
Oh shit. Like when that's
This is Hideki
Hideki
Naganuma,
is amazing.
aka
Holy shit.
CEO of Funky Fresh Beats.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. But sometimes you do need that gap in there. And even if the outcome entirely isn't always positive in the long run, and nothing
Hideki
predicts it will
Naganuma is the
be.
man.
But
That's that dude right there.
but like you said, kind of whatever.
He's one of the people.
It got
that
out there
Jet Set
wider in a
Radio
way that would
Future
never done just by itself,
absolutely not
remaining a
get
niche
seen
culture.
Who is Hideki Naganuma? DJ Skate
clear. Ain't nothing like a funky
Hideki
beat.
Naganuma is the composer of the majority of Sega's Jet Set Radio and Jet Set Radio Future.
He is an absolute treasure of a video game composer. Not so much as a social media personality, maybe, but I wish there were more composers like him.
Hideki is a genius.
Wild.
And I think he now has
whatever. Let him rock.
The online moniker of Funky Uncle, I think he calls himself,
so
which is definitely very appropriate.
You didn't know he did make music also for Sonic Rush?
I'm not sure if he's still in-house, but he was an in-house composer with Sega Japan throughout the 90s and 2000s.
That's a really good point, Alzaraf. That's a really good point. It really brought JRPGs to the limelight instead of just haha funny button press game.
Childhood was hired on by Smilebit to come back and work on Jet Set Radio Future.
He also came into video games with an understanding of popular commercial music, an understanding that he has his own personal take on styles like hip hop, funk, and rock music.
And he has such a very unique style that I think is perfect for the setting and the essence of Jet Set Radio Future.
Because you gotta remember, both him and Nujabes kind of existed around the same time, or started really coming out around the same time. So they've made huge, different angles and strides
with Jet Set
to
Radio, the game was a bit of an experiment
kind of the hip hop music scene
with
and
Jet Set
whatnot.
Radio Future.
Hip-hop,
Naganuma came
funk,
in fluent in the language
etc.
of the story taking place. He was
Of course, falling
familiar
behind
with
like
the game's
Jay Dilla and
characters,
stuff like that.
themes, tone, settings, and atmospheres. This helped him gain a clearer vision of how to implement a necessary new dimension to the game.
Yeah, he creates social media in a way that is his and his only. Sometimes people find their niche in social media.
Those samples to reimagine the voices of Tokyo To, painting them in a futuristic light, rich in funk, hip-hop,
games and
rock,
shit. Right,
and techno.
right. Stray kind of did that as well.
What sounds great.
This is a side story.
It's just all over the place.
I'm gonna pause for half a second here, just to kind of get my point, because it's off subject now, but it's kind of like the same thing with Stray. When Stray came out, I was kind of sitting somewhere. I can't remember where it was, but it was somewhere public. And I heard someone talking to another friend who's clearly into games. Like, similar situation to you, Alzaraf. Was clearly into games. And she was asking, like, I saw this cool cat game come out. This really cute cat game. What's it called? And her friend kind of sheepishly, obviously, because, they clearly don't talk about games with this friend. It's like, well, Stray? It's like, oh, yeah, with the cute cat game. Can you tell me about that? And it felt like there was a very clear opening up moment. And I feel like that's always important when it's games, music and games, or otherwise, that there's that kind of breakthrough moment where it starts binding people who are outside the culture and linking them on the smallest thing possible, maybe the most stupid thing possible, to bring them into a different culture that they may have never experienced in their life. So, yeah, absolutely. There you go. I have that copy and paste on ready because I'm like, if people ask, please take it. Watch it from the beginning. Give it a like. Give them a follow. They deserve a lot of goods for this because they're doing a great job of all these interviews. Holy shit. All right, let me back up a little bit here.
This guy is all over the... His brain for just what sounds great as a beat is just all over the place.
And if you take one listen to these songs, you'll realize that this guy is truly the king of samples.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, sampling was huge around this time. And
This
all
collection
over the
of
world.
sounds built a bold, bright,
US
and
as well.
fun soundtrack to match the game's aesthetic.
Hideki he smashed it. I mean, people love what he put together.
Shit.
I really admire that he was able to make two distinct sounds for Jet Set Radio and Future, but also have them echo each other and represent like sounds of the past and the future.
I mean, the way he ran it together, he kind of DJ'd the whole thing.
Probably one to say because that was good. Exactly. When DDR became popular, I was that dude in my school. And Femoral can probably attest to the same thing, honestly. Got a hot ham.
What's the funk one called?
The Funky Dealer, baby.
The Funky Dealer, that's my favorite one.
Can we get a second take on that?
Yeah.
What's your favorite song off the Jet Set Radio Future?
Other than my own?
It's illegal to sing your own.
Oh. Then I guess my second favorite would be Funky Dealer, baby.
Funky Dealer is a master
Other than my own.
that best fits the action.
If I remember correctly, Scapegoat
and the
Rex
vibrance
is
of
the
game.
Hello
It's not
Allison
just
song.
sampling to have more realistic
If I remember that
instrument
correctly.
sounds.
I'm saying
It's
that loud. I'm
sampling
like, that doesn't
because
sound right all of a
of
sudden.
The edge it gives to the production.
The soundtrack was not only good, it was
Yeah,
great.
yeah, Aisleton. Hello,
great
Allison. Okay,
that
good,
It
good.
remains one of the sole reasons gamers continue coming
I love
back
Funky
to
Dealer. My
this
favorite
game
is Hello,
decades
Allison.
later.
Yeah, hear that song. There used to be
You know,
a Twitch
the
TVer
speed is- it's
with
like,
the name
it's
Hello
kinda
Allison.
trippy 'cause, like, you hear,
I don't know
like,
her name is now, but it's a really good name. I was like a Marvel fan because at first I can definitely understand that, but I'm also on the side of like
beats like sped up.
there's got to be sacrifices made along the way. And in that case, I was a sacrifice because suddenly the thing I was doing was a popular thing, and everyone wanted to be involved. Just they wanted to jump on the train, the cool train. And
I
it's
was
like,
able to have revelations.
it doesn't give
about
respect
my
to the
own
people who've
music
been
from
holding it
studying
down until the meantime.
His musical style.
It sucks, but
is like
whatever.
visible.
I'm also
or
like
sort
whatever
of
at this point.
audible.
I understand
in
the
music
frustration
that
though.
I make now because of how much I look
saw
up to
you
him as an
coming in.
inspiration.
The beats, rhythms, and melodies throughout Jet Set Radio Future's soundtrack shapes the environments of the game with cinematic, futuristic soundscapes. The songs
That's one of my favorite
Hideki
Future songs, though,
Naganuma
for Like a
composed
Butterfly.
for Jet Set Radio Future's original soundtrack were designed in recognition of the story itself to display elements that echoed the diabolical and controversial experiences that lived on in the streets. These songs were composed in a way that included samples from activists like Stokely Carmichael in the song The Concept of Love.
Yeah, this is a big favorite for a lot of people, which understands. I understand. Yeah, I understand. Yes, I understand. Oh, right.
The concept of love just it starts inside and it just fires up you get the tingles in your spine. It's quintessential.
in there.
I love Concept of Love. I just think it embodies.
But if I go earlier, I've
everything
been
about
noticing
the
stuff about
game.
like,
It was the
yeah,
first
exactly.
track that Hideki played
But
me that he was
it was
working
lame.
on.
Once
and
again,
I
you got to
thought
get rid of the
it
part that you that
already
cringes,
gave
and
the
it's
game a more
hard to do that when you're in high
futuristic
school.
But keeping true to the original.
This song, most recognized for being
Like,
the
it's also
title
great.
song
Oh,
of
yeah.
the game,
Oh, yeah.
samples specifically from Stokely Carmichael's speech titled Free Huey. It was here that Naganuma recognized elements of
And
the
thanks
speech
to
that mirrored
The Storyteller,
those
another
playing out
great
in the
YouTube
fictional
channel.
world of Tokyo-To.
That's a weird
Elements
cross fact that
critical
I ended up
to activist
learning.
movements, specifically to those fighting uphill battles for the sake of free speech, freedom, identity, and equality.
Maybe everybody's work on the games. Fair enough. He might not be able to talk about it. I don't know if there's a certain amount of years before he can really talk about it or not. So he might not be able to. That's the reason why we have the What Happened
Who is Richard
series.
Richard Jakes is a really
Is it
awesome
Richard Jakes? Fuck!
British composer.
Fuck!
Hi, my name is Richard Jakes.
God damn it.
And I'm a video game
All these
composer.
years!
I've been working in the industry
No!
almost 30 years.
I've been calling him
My
Jockus this whole
relationship with Jet Set
time!
Radio Future began after
It's
having
Jakes!
previously worked on Jet Set Radio. So I did one track for Jet Set Radio, and that track was called Everybody Jump Around.
I'm so embarrassed. I'm so embarrassed. First T-Lups, and now Richard Jakes. Yeah, I know. How's that make room for me, please?
I believe it was in late 2000 or early 2001.
I hope he talks about
when
Sonic
my
R.
producer at Sega Europe told me that Sega Japan were going to be making a sequel, this time for the Xbox console, and they asked if I could do 2 new original tracks. So I composed a track called "What About the Future."
Yeah, this is the guy who did all of Sonic R, for those who don't know, by the way. He did all of Sonic R music. So, fucking genius.
And another
Jake's
one called
trick.
Block Fresh.
God damn it, not a fish. What's up, not a fish? How you doing? It's bouquet, not the bucket. How to pronunciation, but the other
And
way
I was
around.
also asked
It's
to
too
remix
simple.
Hideki Naganuma's track from the first Jet Set Radio game, which was called Let Mum Sleep.
Yeah, what an honor to fucking do that, though.
And by the way, most of the credit should go to him for sort of coming up with the overall style. In essence, I was given pretty much a free rein, especially with What About the Future. That track, I was able to make it a lot more electronic than the others, possibly, and it's a bit more sort of futuristic breaks.
It's so freaking good, General Yeti.
What About the Future?
It's weird,
is a
right? Because you
banger,
hear both
and
of them,
the
you're like,
first time I heard
there's
that
no
song,
fucking way,
I
right?
started
There's no fucking way, right?
Bruh. because that stuff was clean.
The beats in What About the Future, they
what's up, General
they are
Yeti?
quite regular, but there's a little kind of skippy fill every 4 bars ish, and there's a lot of interplay, so it keeps your interest. It reflects the kind of music I was listening to at the time, and it was popular in especially a lot of underground clubs here in London. And I wanted to just take that a bit further, whilst making it still appropriate for the game. You know, it couldn't be so dark that it didn't fit with the game.
Breakbeat
underground
is a
big
UK genre.
That's
at
the
its core,
that's something I was
and
looking for.
being that its
breakbeat,
presence is huge in Jet
huge.
Set Radio Future, especially. I think it's perfect that Richard was part of the Jet Set Radio games.
Yeah, it's Jake's.
When I first thought about the tracks,
Sorry, Tawny. We're all in this hole together now.
I suppose I took a lot of inspiration from what Hideki Naganuma was already doing, because he has a wonderful mixture of sort of funk and hip hop and soul.
Puts him in a bar. Mixture.
He's definitely got a sense of humor, so it makes it fun. It makes it a really great sense of fun playing the game with those tracks. So for Bokfresh, I took a similar approach. You know, there's some quite funny samples in there.
Bokfresh is one of my favorite songs from the series, and
You know what?
I feel
I'm
like
fucking
his
stupid,
contribution
and that's great. That
Everybody
means
Jump
more
Around
opportunities to learn.
fits in
We're out
really
here learning
well
every day.
with what Hideki Naganuma was doing as the primary composer.
Let's look at the funk.
His remix of Let Mom Sleep for Jet Set Radio Future is also a big favorite of mine.
I was honored that Naganuma-san wanted me to remix it.
Sometimes, some days, I even prefer it over the original, to kick up the tempo a little bit.
I wanted to make the bass kind of a bit heavier and a bit more energetic,
that's
because
so
that's
cool.
what the rest of the tracks that Naganuma-san was
got one for
composing for
mine.
Jet Set Radio Future. He was already going more in a faster, sort of slightly more punchier, more energy into the tracks.
I want those covers.
With
Those
the
Jet Set Radio
sirens,
Future
that's
covers.
basically
Those are
transform
sick.
scratching, and I sort of wanted to get that element in there. And I think I used about 3 or 4 different bass synths all put together and made it really fat and really big in the bottom end.
Even though he's only contributed 5 or so tracks and remixes to the series overall, he is extremely important to the soundtracks and really looms large.
He's a little bit underrated.
My last game at Sega as an in-house composer was with the Jet Set Radio Future, and you know, I was honoured to be asked back to contribute to the second soundtrack.
That makes sense. Okay, I was like, I didn't mention it earlier with Beastie Boys, but sounds like they're
Beastie
going
Boys,
to.
The game-changing rap rock group left Def Jam Recordings to create their own.
Because we talked about Linkin Park. I didn't know if they were going to go back to Beastie Boys or not. I didn't know if that was going to be part of the subject.
You want something done right, you'd better do it yourself. Clearly, the Beastie Boys live by this motto. Now, with their second self-produced album and new slick publication, they're one step closer to taking over the world as a burgeoning multimedia conglomerate.
Simply put, it was a label by artists who were tired of the system and wanted to produce music on their own terms. It was a safe space for the bold, edgy, underground scene to be heard.
Bless the boys.
Grand Royal featured artists like Scapegoat Wax.
Thank you, boys.
BS 2000.
All right, listen, we're BS 2000. This first song is called Sick for a Reason, and it's an anti-police brutality song, motherfuck Mayor Giuliani of New York City.
Chiba Motto. Wow. And the Latch Brothers, a Beastie Boys side project.
One of my favorite songs ever from the soundtrack definitely has to be The Answer by the Latch Brothers.
I did not know
It
that
sounds like it
was
could go on forever, and
Beastie
I wouldn't be
Boys.
mad if it did.
I did not know that. Once again, it's truly a wonderful thing that we learn something new every day.
I'm Marty James, singer of Scapegoat Wax. Scapegoat Wax got signed to Grand Royal in the year 2000. I mean, it was my intro to the music industry, being on Grand Royal. I grew up pretty much idolizing the Beastie Boys. They were definitely a massive influence on me, wanting to pursue music. So it was like a dream come true.
Way good. It has no right being that
Grand
good.
Royal was pretty cutting edge with like what they were trying to
Understand.
accomplish and how they just focus around like what they like.
I've already understood at this point. I feel like V. What's up, V for Anarchy? Stratovirus is various as well. What's going on, y'all?
That's why I wanted to be
It's like, oh, it makes sense. Right, exactly. I'm in the same boat. Like, oh yeah, I guess that makes sense.
Somebody that's
For you who are coming in late here, by the way,
who sees your vision.
here's a full video.
Grand Royal
In case you
started
want to watch
as an
all of it.
infomercial early on. That didn't work out. These friends of ours, Luscious Jackson, they go back a long way with us. Had their demo tape. When we were on the Check Your Head tour, listened to it a lot, decided to put it out. because the infomercial thing wasn't working out. So we figured, okay, we'll be a record label.
After years of accruing massive debts, Grand Royal closed its doors in 2001. Its near 10-year run not only produced and distributed game-changing music, it became the prominent voice for the underground scene it had created.
You know, in the end, it kind of sucked because like the label went out of business. And so it was hard because they had really become like my family at that label. It was pretty tight knit for like 2 years.
If you love the style of Jet Set Radio a lot, I would say give Future a try.
Royal, Sega
It
hired
doesn't
Grand Royal to
exactly
produce
fix-
original songs for Jet Set Radio Future.
I'm also like this, don't mind me. Yeah, okay. It doesn't exactly fix the issues from the first game as much. The gameplay is still a bit rough, but the style is really worth embracing.
Deal also allowed Hideki Naganuma to handpick a selection of songs from Grand Royal to be featured on Jet Set Radio Future's official soundtrack.
Oh, I didn't
They're
know.
very carefully
Okay.
chosen both the original music and the licensed music, and I think it's amazing how
I got
well
there.
they fit together and what they bring to the game.
I've always
There's
been
not
curious.
one that sticks out and you think, oh, that doesn't belong in this game.
You know, he kind of had a big selection to pick from that was working with Sega, and he just looked for stuff that was the right vibe for the culture the game was trying to, again, establish.
The artists featured were, in their own right, individually stylistic, away from the norm, rebellious spirits.
They were.
Some of the most
They very
well-known
much were.
Grand Royal tracks selected included songs like Birthday
Cake.
Cake,
Yeah,
Chio
like
Mata.
that's coming up sometime along the way. I might get shot for this, but man, I have a hard time going through Birthday Cake every time I listen to the OST. Ooh, a cheat down. Nice. I guess they probably can't play the actual thing.
When you're skating
Yeah, they got funny
and
moments.
that kicks in, and it's
Oh
like,
my God.
we're dropping the tempo
Hideki
down a
Nagamura.
little bit.
Then you hear,
The
I
CEO's
see you
funky.
at my job.
Aisle 10 is the palate cleanser. You know, between your pieces of sushi, it's a bit of that. It kind of like resets
That
the
little
pace
ginger,
before
yeah.
the BPM jumps back again.
What really happened in a video store. You know, I was working at a video store in
Rip
Chico,
Jack, Rip Jim
California,
Cats.
on Walnut Street, called All the Best Video. What up? Wearing my purple vest, fitted up in there, just hollering at the college girls that would come in there, you know, maybe breaking them off a free Twix. I had to go put those movies back on the shelf, holding them this high, you know, and I'm sitting here making $4 something an hour. I'm getting some ice cream out of this. And there really was a girl, and I really thought she was cute, and I thought this was gonna be my finesse. I actually went home and I wrote, "Hello, Allison, I had like just written it. Pretty much the song came together off of that. I found a guitar sample, I slowed it down, detuned it, wrote it, had it to the drum beat I had, and the guitar, I was singing that to myself, and I started kind of humming the bass line in a way, like, I want some funk, you know. Music and video games.
This is one of those fucking moments that you think, oh, Hello Allison might be like a deeper song about love, or maybe the love of his life that he found. And maybe it has like a deeper meaning, like, you know, finding your place in the universe and find that one moment that you really connect with something that you feel like you have to take your opportunity. No, there was some hot ass chicks at my job. And I thought, man, I like hot ass chicks. Nope, just saw someone who was hot in the store. I'm in a college town, and I'm horny, and I'm ready to fuck. Let's fucking go. That's it. That's the inspiration. This is enlightening. I've told a lot of friends this as a complete aside. You know, I always tell people when they're getting to the gym and stuff like that, find your reason for going to the gym, and it does not matter how shallow it is. If you just want to say, I want to look good naked, I want to be attractive to other people, and that's what drives you, do it. There is no reason to not have a stupid reason for doing the gym stuff. And I'm not going to lie, a lot of people, after that moment I tell them that, stop talking to me about the gym. And that's fair. I don't fully blame them, but I'm like, I am super serious. Find any dumb reason for you to do something, and if it's motivating, fucking do it. There's no reason to stop doing something just because you think, oh, it's not an honorable reason. No, fucking go at it. Fucking go at it. Go to the gym for like a few weeks? Hell yeah. I've been not going to the gym for a few weeks because I can't grab anything. If I see to do a thing good, it's by definition, it makes you do the thing. Exactly. It does not matter. If it makes you do the thing and you get the end results that you want, fuck it. Do it. Do it. My TV. There's my reason. Right, so I was like, girl, you're hot.
You know,
exactly. Valid
what
for
it
real.
is now. You know what
Horny
I mean?
is a hell of a
So I thought,
drug.
oh, that's pretty cool. Not really realizing how many people were going to play that game. And around 2006, I started kind of realizing like, oh, wow, people really love this game and really are dedicated to this game. It has a deep cult following. It's a
Game
pretty
rules,
diehard
song
group
rules.
of fans.
Yeah, you don't gotta be deep. You can be simple.
What a lot of people say, what really kind of makes my day
be
is
the
like when they
Vimbo
say it reminds them of their
that you
childhood.
deserve to be.
I feel very honored to have a part in some people's nostalgia.
Yeah,
When I
thank
started
you.
looking around online, you know, I would search Scapegoat Wax on Twitter, and I saw a lot of like love. Jet Set Radio, man, kept the name alive.
Oh, that's gotta
Scapegoat
feel
Wax
good.
actually got a little low-key cult following from a lot of this, you know. a
That's
lot of
gotta
the
feel
Jet Set
good.
love. Yeah, I have my label Mighty Oak, and I love looking at it like, you know, how could you make a Grand Royal, you know, today, and you know, something that has some
I would cry.
roots to it,
100%.
but also
I would cry.
has some just out of the box elements and just something that, you know, moves people as a whole.
It's kind of a big reason that every time someone says, I really liked your commentary, it's like the most important thing you can tell a commentator.
Atop the mechanics
Because
of
no
the
one really
game
says it out
lie a
loud to
variety
them.
of cultural
So
influences.
you have to kind of just go in there
In
and
order
look
to
at
better
the stream chat
understand
and look
the
for
root
any
of
pieces
why
of like
these
useful
influences were
information.
incorporated,
And some people just
we must
want to
first
meme
take a
instead.
deep dive
So you
into
just gotta
understanding a
fucking
Japanese
take what you
genre
can.
and subculture
And someone telling you that,
inspired
it
Smilebit's
matters so
philosophical and
much.
stylistic approach.
I almost
towards
wanna cry
Jet
every
Set
time I
Radio
hear that,
Future's
like, holy
sights,
shit.
sounds, and presentation overall.
We see elements of American pop culture as very cutesy, the same way that you see ours. That's a quote from Konishi Yasuharu in 1996, being arguably the man behind Shibuya K. Obviously, we've taken lots of American and English music and sort of regurgitated it, but we've thrown your culture back in your faces slightly skewed. That quote essentially summarizes Shibuya K, the genre.
Interesting. I love the way Sneak on games. No one's noticing, but they notice you. I'm gonna tell you a secret right now. They notice you. They may not respond. They notice you. Trust me. Positivity comes very
My name
rarely.
is Andrew.
Even
I'm a
for
record
people-
collector, filmmaker, and music enthusiast.
Sorry, I just don't
the
know who this guy
90s
is.
were this wonderful time of musical genre bending and discovering
It's very
and
important that you say it.
technology
They may not
and
respond to
cultural
you,
changes.
but it's very
The
important that you
Shibuya
say it,
fashion and
because
shopping
you'd
district
be
in
surprised
Tokyo
how
housed many
few
of the
positivity,
world's
directly
best
positive things
record
actually
stores, all of which in very close
comes
proximity.
to you to say,
along with,
I like
of
what you're
course, some
doing
of
and your
Japan's
style.
most innovative
When you
musicians.
spend all your time
At the
questioning
same
if your
time,
style's
in the
working.
early 90s,
Because you have hard
Britain
numbers that might
had
show that it doesn't
Britpop,
work.
France had French house. Electronic music was just getting more and more
Sometimes it's hard to
vibrant
respond.
and experimental.
You know, you can't respond to every
and
comment
this was
that's
all
left on
thanks
there
to
without
the early sampling
almost not
and
sounding
synth
genuine, you
and
know?
production
So
equipment.
sometimes the
and
answer is
stuff
just
like
like
that
it,
was
move on.
becoming more and more
And
accessible
think about it
to the masses.
in your bed
Sampling
before you go to sleep.
in my opinion,
Trust
it's
me,
very
Zappa,
similar
keep it
to
up.
how
It's
culture
appreciated.
has remixed the classics, how
Yeah, Michelle
jazz
doubling
remixed
up on
show
that,
tunes.
absolutely.
You know, it's very much an ode to what came before.
This was also the first time in history where you could get your hands basically on any music from anywhere in the world, no matter who you were.
True.
What you had were a lot of musical scenes where it was
Japan
essentially
has
a
a
game
lot of
who
vinyl stores
can
as well.
get
They
their
have a
hands
lot
on the
of
most
vinyl stores out
obscure
there. Well, not a
music
lot, I say.
and
Very
show it off in the
well-maintained
most
vinyl
interesting
stores.
way through sampling,
Especially for
and
a culture that
production.
really takes care
For
of
me,
their
it
stuff.
stems
So you
from
get really
records,
high
vinyl,
quality
producers,
vinyl stuff.
beat makers, DJs, digging through the crates, finding a loop that they love, finding something that the drum break, a sample, a
But
stab,
also
a
same,
mark. You know, you can
me
sample
trying to get off
anything,
of
really.
Twitter,
You
me
hear something
make
off
dumb
TV,
posts, me
sample
wake
it
up
in, make
to
a beat out of
multiple
it.
likes,
People who think
me
that sampling
being
is
back on
done
Twitter for
just
a
because
little bit of
we
dopamine.
don't want to work on music as long or skip some steps or because we don't have our own ideas. They're really missing the whole point.
Some people think of it as ripping off, and in theory, I guess you could say that, but it's also reinventing what's worked before, and it's happened through music all through time.
I think sampling plays a huge part in Jet Set Radio Future in all of the pieces of music that you hear, because I would guess that any drum programming would have been done in a hardware sampler. Again, this is before real software samplers were a thing. There was no VSTs, there was no plugins at this time.
And sampling, once again, very huge around this time. Because, yeah, things like this, technology like
Sampling
this, exactly
is
this.
a massive part of Jet Set Radio Future. It can't really be overstated. The soundtrack would be completely different. Lots of
Like
game
he mentioned
music
Jay Dilla, who
uses
really took that
samples.
off and like just
Once
started
the
going for
hardware
it.
got to a certain point, the sound chips inside consoles were being used to play back samples that composers recorded from their keyboards or imported in some other way. But that's not the way Jet Set Radio Future samples. That's not the reason it samples. It does it the same way that contemporary music of its time sampled.
Sampling was a global phenomenon. Artists abroad, especially in France, for example, like Error or Daft Punk or America's Beck, were creating a very suspiciously similar style of music right around the same time. Underground communities and labels were actually quite interconnected. Shibuya Kei sort of epitomizes the concept of the referential cut and paste musical style that was becoming more and more popular at the time. Played quietly, it's like geisha girls sipping milkshake through stripy straws, and played loud, it's the Osaka earthquake.
I love that explanation of Shibuya Kei. That's super good. That's super fucking good.
I think a lot of musically inclined people find something very alluring about a genre that is familiar, but also takes the sounds that you know and love and throws them back to you in this sort of like warped Hall of Mirrors kind of way. Japan's music market is second in size only to America. So here you have a genre of music that came from one of the most vibrant, trendy districts on the planet during one of the most interesting periods of time in music, with a budget afforded by producers and record labels embedded in a local, record and shopping scene where I think investors were very aware of what was going on and wanted to cash in on the action.
It's really important to note that around this time, this is before
When we bring up
Napster
the
really
fact
took over.
that Japan has
so
the world's
music was being
second
thrown,
largest
or
music market.
money was being thrown
We
at
should
music
also appreciate
super
the fact
hard
that
still.
Post-war Japan, with the technological and economic boom that was happening, that's what really caused
Also
a
that
lot
in
of
Japan.
the
Also
technology
economic
that
roots.
would shape the way that music sounded from, like the
Economic
70s into the
booms.
80s into the
Post-captioning.
90s. Production equipment, synths, sampling equipment, everything from the extravagant production of 80s city pop forward until today, in one way or another, influenced music trends moving into the future. But there's also another really big aspect with the way that Japan changed culturally after the war. Post-war Japan was sort of the earliest Japan really had any tolerance for westernized media. This period of time from the 50s forward until the 70s marked a big cultural shift towards personal freedoms and democracy.
Okay, that makes
There's
sense.
two musicians who are sort
I
of
wish I had
the
a
most
my old Casio.
important
I would
and
love to
influential
revisit
and
a
sort of
Casio and
spearheaded
really
the
just
genre.
mess
The
around
first
with it.
is Pizzicato 5. That's Konishi Yasuharu's group. It was eventually joined by Maki no Miya, and they make essentially this
Never mind. It's probably in the trash somewhere
loungy,
now.
bossa
It's gone.
nova,
It's my
upbeat
sister's.
dance type music, which is kind of all held together by this really tight production and sampling. It's sort of like a 1960s, very kitschy kind of vibe. The second most important musician is Cornelius, or Keigo Oyamada, or Flipper's guitar in its earliest iteration. Where Keigo Oyamada and Konishi Yasuharu
I don't know both
differed
these
initially
bands,
was that
actually.
Konishi was quite a bit more inclined to make electronic-oriented dance-type music, and Keigo Oyamada was a lot more like indie pop guitar style. Really early on in the picture, they started actually working and collaborating and producing each other's music and all these kinds of things. Their styles just wove in and out of each other's, and they really influenced each other a lot. And that's kind of where the genre came from.
Yeah, I need to listen.
There's some
to
other really
these two
important
bands.
artists
I've never
in the scene as well.
I've never heard of them.
Toate, Fantastic Plastic Machine,
Fantastic Machine, I
Lamp.
know.
A lot of these
Lamp, I know.
musicians actually differ quite vastly in terms of sound. Whether they base their style more around hip hop beats or like French pop or indie sounds or electronica or jazz or down tempo, Shibuya
I know her.
musical philosophy has more to do with the concept of curation and sampling, as well as sort
He's
of
got
like
Mission
nostalgia and
Toyota.
genre
Yeah,
bending. There's
no
more
worries.
of
They
a
have their finger on the pulse.
unifying
There's a reason why we know
sensibility
about
of
them.
stylistic
I see what you're- yes, I
exploration than there is a set of concrete rules about
Mix
what
music
is and isn't
with
Shibuya Kei.
other inspiration. Make
Even though
new music.
sampling was
Yes,
crucial
yes,
to the
I get
genre,
it. Understandable.
so were some of the
Don't worry, I'm not a very
musical
big music
techniques
person
and
either.
motifs that
It's a music like
were kind of stereotypical of Shibuya Kei. Saudade de Futura, which is the nostalgia for the future. That's like a bossa nova thing. It's just this recurring theme. Not only does it play really well into the sampling and the crate digging, but it also fit perfectly into the ironic anti-consumer kind of attitude that some people had. The overall vibe of Shibuya Kei has this like obsession with consumerism, fashion, and the culture of like shopping and travel. It all has this super ironic bent to it, which was very critical of that lifestyle. Shibuya Kei became a fashion and visual style that did spill into the mainstream and took on this like youthful kind of hipster look to it that was really appealing to a young audience.
We're seeing a little bit of that now in the fashion nowadays. Just a bit with a lot of the, what's what I'm looking for? Like shopping at like Goodwill and stuff like that.
Sort of went from
kind of a fashion that's kind of being
the end
re-embraced
of
in
the 80s
a way.
until probably the turn of the century. And the reason that it fell out of
music at
fashion
this
was
rate,
it
good.
actually became
Become
so
a good music
popular
maker.
that
You make sick music
it
out
just
of the
sort
rap.
of
I just get a
got
feeling that you have too much
absorbed
historic
by,
and knowledge to not
corporations.
not make
Once
good
you
music.
start hearing stuff in like minivan commercials, like it's not cool anymore.
Let's hear that minivan commercial. Yo, what's up, Cat? How you doing?
Culture in Japan
What's going
is
on?
suffering from
I know you're
Shibuya
arriving
Kei
late, so I'm going to
fatigue,
link
a
you this
condition
right
with
now, just in
symptoms
case
of
you want to
exhaustion
follow
and
up and watch the rest of it
disdain
later.
towards the Shibuya Kei approach. While it has never been officially stated, it is believed that one of the many reasons Jet Set Radio
Don't
Future did
think.
not sell well commercially in
Do.
Japan was because of Shibuya Kei fatigue. Although Jet Set Radio Future incorporates a collage of cultures and aesthetics, in Japan, Shibuya Kei was probably the most recognizable of them all.
Yeah, because I guess at this point I was probably being introduced to Shibuya Kei, anything, adjacent or otherwise. Oh, did I really mean a dream by Lost? Hey, same. I've had whole music videos play in my head with
Hideki
languages that
picked
I
songs
don't
like
understand
Birthday Cake
entirely.
because it was just
Completely
so
play out.
weird
There was a
and
banger of a song like
obscure
about 8 years
that
ago
fits
that
the
I had
vibe
in
of
my
that
head.
game.
That was just, it was good. It was perfect. I wish I could like just take that from my brain and put it into a song. I would have been a #1 artist, 100%. I knew it was that much of a banger of a song. So I'm right there with you. I have the brain for it. I don't have the technology or skill set for
Chibo
it.
Matto was a
Makes
New
me sense.
York
I'm gonna make one awful
band
track and I'll think about it for
consisting
20
of
years.
Miho Hattori and Yuka Honda. Despite being
Make more
located
awful
in the
tracks.
US and
So,
having
you know,
early
you have a lot of
roots
stuff to not
releasing
think about for 20
material
years.
under
Eventually, once
the
you look
Beastie
back to
Boys
it, you have a
Grand
whole
Royal
album ready in
record
20 years.
label. They had
It'll
strong
be
links to
nostalgic
the
at that
Shibuya
point.
Kei scene in Tokyo. And throughout their career, they would sort of mingle with people from that scene in one way or another. Chibo Matto was definitely one of the most interesting musicians in the scene as a whole. They fully embraced the attitude of experimentation and genre bending, and this
then
was
Chibo
quite
Matto.
visible in their choice
Or maybe
of
Cibo Matto, I don't know.
collaborations. From
Maybe Kibo Matto,
working
I
with
don't know,
the
because
John
it's
Spencer
Japanese.
Blues Explosion to
If it's Italian,
briefly
it's
joining
Chibo.
Gorillaz.
If it's
They've been involved
Japanese, it's
or
Kibo.
toured
If it's
with
American,
Yoko
it's
Ono,
Cibo.
John Zorn, Sonic Youth, and
I actually don't know how to
Japan's
pronounce the
own
name.
Yellow Magic Orchestra.
After
And
fucking
looking back at
Jockus
the
and
Japanese scene,
Jock,
Yumiko Ono
Jack,
of
I'm
the
fucked up
Shibuya Kei
now.
adjacent band Buffalo Daughter also
But I understand why they're talking
contributed
about,
and worked with them as well.
Chibo Matto.
I think Chibo Matto is really interesting
Okay,
because
Chibo
a lot
Matto.
of their discography
I understand why they're calling
would
it Chibo Matto or
really
talking about
just
them because
fit
they couldn't get an interview with them.
perfectly
They already have Scapegoat
into
Rax
the
singer
Shibuya
on
Kei
here
world.
anyway.
By a lot of metrics,
so
it is Shibuya Kei,
you know,
but
they don't
I
need
think
to add
through
much
their
more
careers,
on
they
that
sort of
aspect.
Had this like identity crisis where they were clearly influenced by a lot of this work at
Never
home.
played Jet Set
and
Radio, so
that
might not be the
definitely
audience.
came
No, that's
through
fully
in their music,
understandable.
but I think they struggled,
you know what you can do?
especially
You
in
know-
their
you know what you can do,
relationships
Kat.
with
You
like
know what you can do.
news and media that people would
could
ask
play
them,
the game.
well, is your music Japanese?
Even
They
better.
would always have
Even
to
better.
insist
Just say, hey,
that their
I'm going to
music
take
was
3
American.
hours at
After all,
my
they're
cool
American
booth for the
and they're
cool game I
working
made,
with
the cool
American
video game I made that I'm going to
people,
tell
and they're
everyone in
making
chat
music
about
for
right now.
Americans
I'm going to
on a
talk about
daily
that in
basis.
chat.
It also didn't help
And
that their involvement
I'm
with
just gonna have
Yoko
3 hours
Ono
while I just play
was
Jet Set Radio.
pretty prolific, but I think despite some naive questions,
And I'll be there.
you know,
I'll watch
from
all 3
confused
hours.
reporters and people like that, the duo was generally pretty stoked that Americans were like embracing and buying and importing all this Japanese media. When Kay asked me to do this bit for the video,
Love
I would
Hotline
have
Miami.
probably mentally placed
I've never played
Shibamato
it,
somewhere
but
between
the OC is amazing.
Cornelius or Takako Minakawa or High Posse or Halcali or and some of these artists, but
No idea
out
who
of
High
respect
Cali is. I feel
for
like I
the
should know,
way
though.
that they wish to identify musically and artistically and culturally, they were part of the 90s USA like Beck type
That makes
indie
sense.
music canon. Like that's where they live.
Beck
This
was a
movement,
hell of a
like, yeah,
time.
it did sound a certain way in
Everyone
Japan, but I think this is
in
a
the
really
slightly
interesting case of where
not popular music
that
realm
genre
just
definitely
loved
spilled
Beck.
overseas.
Beck
and
this,
it's not
Beck that.
often so clear exactly where it came from. I think it was definitely
I don't
more
think
of
they
a
will
global movement
because
than
Rob Zombie was in the
people seem
first
to
game,
acknowledge,
so they probably
and
won't
it
talk about
definitely
Rob
wasn't
Zombie.
just limited to Japan. In short, Shibamato was a 90s art pop, alt rock,
Last time he called him
Shibuya-kei,
Chibomato.
hip hop
Now he says Shibomato.
experimental group with a short but intriguing discography.
Although the array of character designs and funky beats in Jet Set Radio Future are often tied to hip hop and
Beck had
rock
an
scenes,
extraordinary
they
run in
seem
the
to be
90s.
most
Holy
inspired
shit.
by Parliament Funkadelic.
I ain't a winner. Pay the front line, take the don't.
Not to turn this into a history lesson, but in order to understand Parliament Funkadelic and how it relates to Jet Set Radio Future, we must first go back in time to the 1940s.
Sweet, let's do it.
You know, a long time before I got with the Drifters, I was with the Crowns, the Five Crowns, and we used to sing on the street corner of 8th Avenue. It used to be the Cadillacs on one corner, it used to be the Five Crowns on one corner, the Hop Tones on another corner. You know, you light the fire in the garbage can, and you take a little nip or something, and then you hit a little doo-wop song.
Doo-wop was a new sound,
That
a
rules
new
so
competitive
hard.
scene that took pop culture by storm. Its soft, sweet sound was a fun and bright spin on swing and jazz.
Just having doo-wop battles on their corner, can you imagine? That would fucking rule.
However, many minority communities who participated in the doo-wop scene grew tired of having to conform to the Americanized white way of doing things.
Also fair. Completely fair. The crossover thing we talked about earlier.
Sitting there with his head hung low, tears falling from his eyes on the floor, he's crying, "Oh, Willie."
The Parliaments, they were more of a doo-wop type of a group.
The doo-wop scene was like a competitive type of thing. You know, who had the best do, who had the prettiest suit on, and who did the funkiest steps.
When you hear a lot of that early stuff, you just go, why did you ever attempt to try to fit in? Y'all were always going that way. Just give up. And eventually they were forced to give up.
We couldn't keep our ties alike.
Oh, George Clinton.
Couldn't keep the suits clean.
Damn.
Hair was always undone.
What a
You
badass
realize the
hairstyle. What
reality
the
of
fuck?
that was really silly, especially when the hippies had just hit the scene and it was hip to be, you know, funky looking. We didn't have no whole bunch of hit records to do it anyway, so it was natural for us to become hippies.
Oh, hell was
Makes
breaking loose.
sense.
Riots
Actually.
in the hood, Vietnam, LSD. The Parliaments transmutrified into a wild-ass rock group with 2 record deals under 2 different names, Parliament and Funkadelic.
I think funk inspired Jet Set Radio Future, definitely for the Parliament Funkadelic influence. There's a
I need to see that
retro
documentary
future look that was very popular in funk.
About that,
It's
because
a really
it sounds like there is one,
optimistic,
obviously, but I need to learn more about
hopeful,
that.
and rebellious genre of music. So I think it matches the themes of the game. I think it matches standing up and being yourself, all that stuff.
Just the covers, their album covers would just get my attention. And I would read the little comic strip. And then, you know, I hear my brother listening to this crazy psychedelic space funk record, you know what I'm saying? And, you know, I was hooked.
Funk is
I don't
fun,
blame you.
and it's a state of mind, but it's
God, George
also
Clinton here is so
all the
fucking cool.
ramifications of that state of mind. you
This
know?
dude,
Once
I need to
you
dress like him when I
do
grow
the
up.
best you can, funk it.
Funk gave birth to and inspired
I guess we have to
many
talk about a lot about the
groovy
samples where they all
melodic
based from and everything like that.
genres in the decades to come.
Neither did I, but they're going
Some of
deep.
those
They're going real
include
deep into
hip-hop,
music because they know how important the
EDM,
music is about the game.
boogie,
Because
and Parliament Funkadelic.
honestly, the gameplay lacks. It lacks. There's not much to talk about. The gameplay is not the important part of this game. The important part of this game is the style, the music,
Although
and the
many of
vogue
these,
feeling that they
especially
really
funk,
invoke
helped
into
inspire
the
the
player.
multicultural scene of Jet Set Radio Future.
Circle is
It
way
is
wide.
none other than Parliament Funkadelic
To
that
be my
inspired it the most.
spaceship. Hey, nothing stopping
They're an
you,
amazing
Sid.
band,
You could make a
and,
spaceship
I
like
love-
that.
I
Just
love
gotta
listening
earn
to
$1
Punk
billion
Funkadelic. I love
billion
their
dollars.
tracks. That must have
And it
influenced
can't
my
fly,
style as well.
probably.
We interrupt the musical portion of our program to bring you a special broadcast
See me
from
fucking me
our
up? Yeah, yeah.
parliament.
Here's how we're samples a lot of shit. We know the aerodynamic
Funkadelic
breakdown.
is a
Snake
term
Man's in there
referring
as
to a
well.
collective of musicians
It
that
samples a
rotate
lot
and
of shit.
play alongside the likes of George Clinton.
But it
in
does
the
it in such a
bands
very unique
Parliament,
way. I mean,
formerly a
there's a
doo-wop group,
Mario
and Funkadelic.
Land 4 also did a very similar thing, sampling a lot of different type of music and clips and stuff like that, and chopping it up, and then making their own style of music as well.
Clinton wanted to.
There's a
create
whole
scene
documentary on
mirrored
that
the
as well. I'm not
structure
gonna
of
bore you with
Motown.
the details, but
He went on
if
to
you can find
create
it,
various
it's way good
bands to
as well
produce
to
a
kind of
variety
understand
of
the music
music.
behind Wario Land 4
With each project
and why it's very
cycling through a
similar
roster of
in
artists
Pizza
that
Tower.
implemented themes of Afrofuturism,
Like, explain to
psychedelic
me.
rock, and funk into the
Beautiful
musical
big
styles.
titty spaceship.
Parliament
Sid just
Funkadelic
wants like 3
created
things
a
in life,
world
like
of its
3
own.
things.
A world constantly inventing new mythology.
They're not asking for a lot.
sounds, characters, and fashion styles. That said, it's safe to say, George Clinton set out to orchestrate a movement that was beyond music. It was an aesthetic revolution that was built on the idea of free speech and what it meant to fully embody such an idea. The Parliament Funkadelic scene boldly embraced its wild approach to self-expression.
God,
The
these
mediums
fits are
of
so
fashion,
fucking
visual
cool.
art, character design, storytelling, and music.
It's one thing to embrace it. It's one thing to be it. It's another thing
Each
to be it.
working together,
Oh.
curating performances that exhibited outlandish, recurring characters and
Agree,
psychedelic
Strata.
concepts
Agree.
in science fiction
Just like,
plots.
oh my
Parliament
god.
Funkadelic, the show was such a huge part of their act. The costumes they came up with were just absolutely amazing.
I think I hear the mothership coming. Yeah.
I'm like to bob my head
intricate
super
form of
hard to this stuff,
storytelling
and it's just
at
not my era.
times
It's
went
not my
as
era, so
far
I don't
as
know anything
building
about
a
it either.
life-size spaceship for performances on stage, and creating an expansive mythos of diverse characters, rich in
That could be you, Sid.
personality and self-expression.
Just replace that spaceship with a big titty lady spaceship.
In parallel, Jet Set Radio Future holds its
Technomatic,
own sci-fi
also a
mythos
favorite as well.
wild as any Parliament Funkadelic story.
It's me, for real, for real. You could be George Clinton.
With its fair share of outlandish characters centered around communities that thrive and speak via musical and visual platforms.
What a deep dive into this like musical culture behind the game and like all the sources, which I have to say, I have to appreciate a lot when documentarians do that and like full and talk about like the actual culture around the time instead of just kind of skimming over and like it happened. But the important part is someone did something with it, and it's like yeah, you did take the generally black culture thing that started off with there, and then you brought it somewhere else. And you're giving them all the credit, like they did something. It's like, no, talk about the past a little bit more, and I appreciate
my
that.
philosophy dome a little bit deeper for this one.
What do you got?
If Jet Set Radio Future had a philosophy, I think the philosophy would be to stay authentic to yourself.
That's right,
No matter
Professor
who
K.
disagrees or who doesn't like it.
The
I
coat
think
of
the
all time.
philosophy would be you are here now, you decide what the future is. If it hasn't been done before, there's no reason you can't or shouldn't do it now.
The philosophy behind it is
Too mellow of all people.
kind of
Saying
exploration.
that is like A+.
Exploring oneself
It
as
really
much
exudes in his
as
music.
what's happening in the environment around you.
From a young age, that game taught me to be loud and bold. You know, if you're feeling it, rock that shit. Who cares? Just go for it.
Be yourself. Be
Part of the
unique.
lyrics.
I wish I had a beat button, but F what people think. Literally, just forget about the haters. There's a lot of people gonna judge you and not like you for who you are or what accomplishments
Get
you
rid
made.
of the part of you that
and that's
cringes.
what the game shows.
Get rid of the part of you that cringes. But said more eloquently than that.
And the stories we tell.
That's why they didn't
build
interview me.
universal language. They hold the power to inspire others, to wake up the soul and serve reminders.
Oh, no
of the
worries.
creative
You're fine,
powers
Kat.
every individual holds.
We're getting rid of the part of us that cringes. Just because you don't know the exact name of cool anime
How
character,
has the Jet Set
whatever.
Radio series
We
inspired
feel
me?
it. We feel
it
that
has
energy.
100% inspired my fashion choices.
Literally, without Jet Set Radio, sort of me seeing the traction that it was getting on Twitter, just even people just talking, you know, fondly about it, inspired me of like, you know what? Actually, that sounds pretty dope.
Oh yeah, this interview has a lot of folks. This is Scapegoat Wax, the guy
I
who
remember
made,
as well when I first started growing my dreads
Aisle
out.
10. Hello,
I
Allison.
saw characters
Aisle
like
10.
DJ
Woolie's
Professor
in
K
there.
and
Q
Eddie
Mello's in
Gordo
there.
from Tekken.
Cheeto's in there.
And I thought their hair looked fucking sick. And I
there's
was
a lot
like,
of good
yeah, I
interviews.
kind of want to rock
Richard
that style.
Jockus
That'd be
was
fun.
earlier as
I'm
well.
just really in love with like the shading and
I unfortunately don't know
the
who
specific art style of the game.
lady
It's
creators
really
are,
inspired
but
my
opportunity
art
to learn more stuff once
1000%.
again.
I feel like it's my mission.
I'm really glad
to
they got like black women creators
about
all
games
part
like
of this
this
as
and
well.
bring
Like
more light to
100%.
them.
That's super good.
I guess overall, just the creativity that you can just make something that didn't exist to me is still just like the coolest shit ever, you know. And I think that it's important to
I said
like,
all that, and I
not
realized you
lose
never played the
sight
game,
of,
so you have no idea who the fuck
you
I'm
know,
talking about,
trying
Kat.
to express yourself.
I would say that if you are inspired by Jet Set Radio Future as a creator of music,
Oh, you
art,
can't,
whatever,
you can't wink at me
whatever
like
thing
that
you're
in
thinking
a
of doing,
cube cosplay like
absolutely
that.
go
Oh
for
my
it. I
god.
think
Oh
the
my god.
spirit of Jet Set Radio Future.
I think
is
I might
like
be blushing.
a bottomless well that we could all,
You could
drink
learn.
from.
You should learn. I'm happy to bring you on this adventure in any
Why
way,
is
shape,
it
or form I
important
can.
for Sega to produce
At least
a port
listen to
or
the
remaster
OSTs.
of Jet Set
Run
Radio
that back. I
Future?
kind of want to.
Because the
I
Steam
kinda want
version
to.
of
I
Jet
can't
Set
be horny
Radio
on
from
stream.
10 years ago is
I
only
can't
half
be
the
horny on
battle.
stream.
Well, I know there's lots of.
V, you
I wouldn't
can't
say
do that to me.
conspiracy
I'm
theories,
thinking
but lots
about
of
it
theories
now.
of why they never re-released the game because it's so popular and it has a
Once
huge
again, here's
cult
a
following.
link. You all do it yourselves.
I don't know whether it was to do
Deserves a
with
remaster
music
now.
licensing. I imagine that could have been fixed very
Ironically,
easily because an
I would
artist
say
would
no, it does
normally
not deserve a
license for a set
remaster.
period of time.
Very ironically. I would say no, it
and
does
then
not
they could
deserve
just
a remaster.
relicense. I'm guessing it was to
I
do
wouldn't
with what
complain
the
if it
game
was
teams
one,
were
but it doesn't
doing.
deserve one.
Sega, please listen to the Jet Set Radio fans.
We are really strong and really passionate about it.
Playing older generation console
better off
games
with just making
is
a new
much,
game at this point.
much harder to do these days.
And hopefully, there are teenagers who love Jet Set Radio now. Hopefully,
Oh, that's so good.
Teenagers in 20 years
That's
still
so
loving
good.
it because of whatever resurgence happens.
Oh,
you
and a
think
Piranha-
all you
oh,
would have to
no.
do is make like
Oh,
a brightly
no.
colored game with modern music and a unique style. But there are
It would be
brightly colored
licensing
games
hell,
with modern
exactly.
music and unique styles.
It would be a
from the time that just don't hold up
monstrosity
as
to
well.
do that.
Besides just us loyal
We
fans,
have
like
fan
new
artists
generations
who
of people that play games these
who
days
have made whole
deserve
albums
to
based
have as
off
much fun
the
as we
Jet Set
did,
Radio and Jet Set Radio
grinding,
Future,
skating, bopping to the funky
OSTs.
beats. You know what I mean? Like we had so
Just
much fun with it, and
grab
especially seeing how much it's
them
inspired.
and make a
It'd be
new
really
soundtrack,
cool to
please. We have a
get
whole lot of
people
new rock
that are
as well
new
that deserves
fans
to be
on
listened
that
to.
train, and then drum up hype for a return to Tokyo Toe.
I would like to see the return of Tokyo Toe. I think in one way or another.
Jet Set Radio Future has touched and changed the lives of so many people across the world, inspiring and encouraging people to be themselves and to pursue their passions and dreams
All right,
relentlessly.
y'all. We want us to get together and make a Jet Set Radio
If there's one
cosplay.
takeaway this
I've been
game wants you
inspired
to
all of a
remember,
sudden.
Love and self-expression are powerful
What do you mean
tools
that it's
that
being
anyone
used
can
to
wield.
attract
Your
cute
voice is your
cosplayers
own,
of
and it's
very
up to
cool
you to
characters in the
decide
game? What do you
how
mean?
It will be used.
The future is one big blank slate, yo. And it's up to you to decide what goes on in it.
Damn. All right, I like that a lot. And here's what I'm gonna say. I'm gonna say something about this, and it's not a negative. It's not a negative thing. But they focused They focused 75 to 80% of the time on the music, and did not talk about the game or the development all that much, that's fine. Once again, the hugest stake of the game really comes from the music. I don't think it would have sold as good in terms of a documentary if they focused on the game and the background of how they made the game as much instead of focusing on the style and the music. But it definitely was a documentary of the music in Jet Set Radio Future. I wouldn't have it any other way. But it was not a documentary of the game. It was totally not, and I wouldn't change it for a minute. That fucking ruled. I appreciate that so much. Oh, cool. There's more credits.
This CD was made by Hideki Naganuma that he sent me when I was at Sega. So this is his tracks.
I want everybody who watches this movie to know I don't have no tattoos, man. Maybe I should.
You don't have a single tattoo, Marty?
Maybe I should get Jet Set Radio Future as my first tattoo, dude.
I don't have any tattoos either. I feel you, escape rope rack guy.
I burnt with my music.
Yeah, Naganuma did a track
Future.
on Lethal League.
All right, next question is going to be, how would you describe the Jet Set Radio Future fan base?
I could say 3 words: passionate, impatient, and disappointed.
I would describe them as very, very patient and very, very desperate for a sequel, a port, or a really good spiritual sequel with Hideki Naganuma music just guiding us through the whole thing. I would say that like it's a fan base that's been super passionate over the years. There's been like so many fan-driven projects inspired by like the impact of the game.
You know, a lot of stuff comes and goes. You know, so to have a legacy that people still care about, 20 years now or more. How many years has it been? 71 years?
74.
74 years.
I know,
dude. Like, I can't even believe 74 years went by in what felt like 20 years. I remember, dude, when we made Out 10, there was no electricity. I was still wearing that like colonial style of hair I was wearing with the curls right
Do you still have that hair anywhere?
Dude, yeah, because it was a wig. Yeah.
All right. That dude's fucking hilarious. I'm glad to know that the dude who was just horny over the college women in his town and made a whole banger song about it is actually super funny and chill. That's so good. 6 centuries ago. I know, it was so long ago. But yeah. Naganuma did a track in Lethal League, has done tracks in games, but has not, as far as I know, made a whole OST. And I kind of wonder what the new JSR would sound like sometimes, but I think ultimately the best way to go at it is honestly just pull up any non-Jet Set Radio music from 2Mello, and that's what it's going to sound like. You're going to get a lot of that kind of different mashups in there, maybe mix with different games and whatnot. But if you pull up anything 2Mello that's not the Jet Set Radio remix albums, I think that's what it's going to sound like. You're going to get a lot of that. You're going to get a lot of that in there. So maybe look out for that. Maybe Rukunetsu would also probably be a little bit as well from like his remixes would be some things to listen to all the same. So that's probably what I imagine new Jet Set Radio would sound like if they were able to do it. And I guess it depends. Do they go more future, or do we get the past version where they're jumping over steam trains, but not true steam trains, but like, you know, something a little bit more like current day, like something in between future and Jet Set Radio on the Dreamcast, would be also a big hit as well. Very interesting hit. I think that's what we're kind of getting with Bomb Funk City. With that, the name, once again, I can never fucking remember for some reason. Yo, what up, Sko? How you doing? It's good to see you're not dead from your anniversary stream. How's it going, fam? Yeah, Rukunetsu's still making music. And I was surprised to learn this myself recently, like over the last like 6 months. Like it popped up on like my YouTube feed. I'm like, Rukunetsu is still making music. Like almost 8 years ago, I asked Rukunetsu if I could use one of his art pieces as my arcade stick art. And I was asking my friend for help because she was really good at like, you know, Photoshop and all that sort of stuff. And I asked for her help, but she was also an artist and she got really upset because I did not ask her for making me art. And mind you, I was a college student at the time. I could not afford art, so it was not in my head to ask her to make me free art. But, you know, she saw it on the other end of like, we've been friends for so long. Why would I not make you free art? You deserve it. And we kind of got into a little bit of an issue with that. We're still friends now. Don't get me wrong. We're still great friends now. But it was one of those times I was like, we had our different like levels of respect for one another, and it just completely paralleled past each other. So I I think at that point I stopped listening to Rukunetsu for a little bit because I'm like I'm just gonna avoid the fact that I'm not using his art anymore, even though I asked for permission. I feel bad. I feel real bad. Oh yeah, so Jet Set Radio Feature Live is still up. Yeah, John Doe I think brought it up earlier as well, so that fucking rules. Jet Set Radio hates them Civil War. But yeah, Bomb Rush Cyberfunk, that's what it is. I keep fucking it up the name for some reason. I see C and my brain goes like, City! It's not City, it's something else. Cyberfunk. I have trust in the Lethal League group to be able to make that game very solid. I don't think it's going to be like the best game of all time, but I think it's going to be a very good, like, true 8 out of 10. If 5 is average, it's going to be a true 8 out of 10, not a reviewer 8 out of 10. It's going to be a good, very good game, but it's going to be lacking in some way, shape, or form. This is like the gameplay just isn't there, or for some reason the style falls through. It's going to be something that's going to be missing out there. So, yo, how you doing, Jen? What's up? What's going on? For those of you who came in late, by the way, let me give that to you here real quickly. So in case you want to watch the full documentary, that is all available for you. Well, I paused it on the last second. That was not intentional. I paused it on the last literal second. That's why I'm a fighting game player, because I am always on deck for the one-frame links. I got several forum bans for years, most of them pre-cringe, Bleach, and HK once. They were cringe because my requests were cringe and not my friends' actual artists' efforts. And they were all high effort. Fuck yeah. You know, we have good friends out here who have been working on their craft for many of years, and you see him grow as a person, you see him start like making money as an artist and stuff like that, and my first thought is, let's not abuse my friendship so that I can get free art from them. Let me pay them for their art. And I'm sure that they appreciate that, but sometimes I can't pay for the art. I don't want to go over them and demand them, knock on the door and be like, yo, give me art. I deserve art because I've been a friend. It's like, no, being a friend is a bare minimum. I like your company. You assumingly like my company. I'm not going to fuck that shit up. I know we're just chatting now, so fuck it. Until we're done with just chatting. Let me do this over quick. All right, there we go. Oh yeah. Now I'm just chatting here, so I'm gonna do that. These form banners for free. That's cringe. Nope. Get rid of the part of you that cringes. Enjoy the fact that you had cool, unique, to yourself, Bleach form banners that other people could not have unless they right-click saved it. That's you. You got that. You are the top of the crop, the cream of the crop. You earned it. But yeah, certain games just need to hit a vibe, and that's why I'm kind of like, and we talked about this a little bit earlier, Donna Fish. I don't know if you were here or not, that the rumors of a new Jet Set Radio game does not excite me because I don't believe it would hit all the check marks that it needs to hit. And my thoughts are more with Bomb Funk Cyberfunk. Ugh. Bomb Rush Cyberfunk. Why can I not remember this name? But yeah, that's the part that I'm really banking harder on, that because if you want to make a good new Jet Set Radio feature or Jet Set Radio game, you have to give it to the fans. Sega has been giving games to the fans. We've seen it in Sonic Mania. We've seen it in Streets of Rage 4. They can do it. They can give it to the fans. But the strength of Jet Set Radio does not last in the gameplay. It does not last in some unique thing they add to gameplay. It lasts in the style and the influences that have been built off of the games. So it has to be given to the fans. It must be given to the fans if it's going to be good. If they don't give it to the fans, they make it in-house, it's not going to be good. Sonic Mania 2 sounds like it has a source of issues right now. Some disagreements between rights holders and makers of the game. That's its own thing as well. So it's just going to be its own problem in its own right. So they have to give it to the fans. If they don't give it to the fans, I really don't believe in it. And I would love to be wrong. Don't get me wrong. I would love to be wrong about that. And I would love to see something pop out from Jet Set Radio and it be mega good across the board. They hit the music, they hit the style, they hit a good storyline, light but good storyline, and a gameplay mechanic that works very, very well. I would love to see that. I don't think it's gonna happen. There's no fan character terminus. I don't cringe. That's a thing? That fucking rules. Holy shit. How does that work, actually? I'm a little bit curious now. Yeah, OC lore rules. I mean, in all fairness, a part of the reason why I'm so close friends with this other artist that I kind of got in disagreement with in the past was because I was on the forums making OC characters versus anime character stories, but more on a comedic side of things. I had action scenes in there. They were not well written. I know that in retrospect, but it really started shaping my comedy style. And so once we had that in there, and it was problematic comedy, I'm not gonna lie, but once I had that comedy in there, I started to realize like my comedy's pretty good, and my friend really attached to that, and it really drives her comedy now. I see it in her art now, that it's driven her comedy, and her comedy's driven mine as well. So it's really, really funny how we've kind of grown up in our specific circles, and we've actually kind of become well known in our specific styles. I went more with the fighting video game style stuff, and I'm kind of more known on that side. And she went the more artist style, and she's pretty damn well known on that side, and is her current job. It's really, really funny that, you know, we both took everything, like we cultivated like one another, and then we just took it to our own areas, and everyone was like, hey, that's a very unique thing you do. Yeah, I totally didn't learn it from another person that you will never interact with, most likely. She's out there making Final Fantasy 14 fan art, and I'm out here not playing Final Fantasy 14 whatsoever, so we'll never cross over. Have we got plus R on the right play? Exactly. The fans know what we want, and the fans have gotten strong enough to be able to make what they want. And that's the really important part. We aren't just demanding anymore. We're saying, we can do this. This is something we can actually do now. People have learned the skill sets. People have gotten very good at programming. People have gotten very good at art. People have gotten very good at music. We can make the game now. We just don't have that collective, like, if I spend my time making this game, I also don't want to die in the meantime aspect. So it's kind of interesting. Bleach had a vibe to it. It had a vibe that did not actually carry the promise of. I've only seen like the first 2 seasons of Bleach, and they were really good. I just never continued watching because I'm a fucking weirdo sometimes when it comes to watching stuff. So revival is that 20 years of music landscape changing. It does! But I think we're still in a very good time for it because things like future funk and city pop are really popular right now. And it's the same kind of aspect of living a nostalgia and clipping from a nostalgia that we never lived before in our age. I would assume most, if not literally all of us in this chat right now, have not lived in the city pop era of Japan. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong. I would love to hear more about it, but I just don't think that most of us have lived that era. But we listen to it and we have that very nostalgic feel to it. We hear the future funk where clipping from city pop and very other similar eras around that time, like fusion jazz and whatnot, and they're pulling it into music, and it really hits that in the very same marker. I think the style is still strong. In fact, I think it's stronger than ever right now. I think it's the best way to put it. So I would love to see that. I think music's not going to be a problem. I think music will hit perfectly. They just have to get the artist behind it. It has to be led by someone like Too Mellow. I'm a big Too Mellow fan, could you not tell? Disappointed in new JCR because it wouldn't sound exactly like it. It wouldn't sound exactly like it, but I think it's good. I think, once again, talking about Bomb Rush Cyberfunk again, look at Lethal League. And a lot of Lethal League songs would fit in a Jet Set Radio setting. I think that's the best way, actually a very direct way to put it. Same makers, they very much understand that very kind of same style of like freedom of expression, how you express that yourself, and how you do it with the music, and give it a lot of various styles, and put it into a game that, you know, you would listen to it outside and then play the game, and you'd be like, I don't understand how this fits until you see it in the game. So I think it would work. I still think it would work. I think they're good. Pulls out gun. We are no longer axing. Pulls out gun. It's a team effort now. Yeah. People have learned how to make games for dead serious. Waterland, great example. And games that should have probably never had legs. Going back to Lethal League. If you show me Lethal League and I said, haha, this game is a fun little game. Too bad you can't do much more with it all that much. And they figured out how to do a lot more with Lethal League. And that became a pretty cult hit game. And enough money to make, you know, a revival of Jet Set Radio. So, you know, even on that regard, I don't think I have. Sorry, what was that in response to? I want to make sure I don't leave you hanging, Meat Shield. But yeah, Lethal League Blaze absolutely rules. They do a great job with the music. They do a great job with the gameplay. They adjust it in such a way that was really still very simple, but it has a lot of fucking depth. They perfected it. They knew how to bring it to the next level. They did. Hell, even look at Dive Kick. Like, once again, that was a funny little game where you had two guys in hoods, or you had dive and kick. Guy with a hat, guy with a hood. Just dive and kick at each other. How do you make that game go further? Oh, they figured it out. And it still has some good songs. They have some good bangers on that OST from like no good reason. They didn't need to do it, but they did. They figured it out. Oh yeah, you don't think I have? Okay, yeah. I don't believe I have. You go to bed, you wake up, you're in 80s Japan at the peak of Japan's re-rise up in the economic world. Like, oh shit, I guess I gotta go to work. I gotta go to work and make some good money so I can go out to the club tonight. Oh, I guess I gotta do that. Oh, that's funny. All right, let me turn off the other theater mode so you just get this jazzy, cool thing going on here. Let me link you all the original video one more time, just in case you want to watch the rest of it. I want to make sure that you don't, miss out on it. In case you got in your halfway and you're like, oh, what happened in that first in? What were they talking about before they gave like 5-hour review on psychedelic funk music? Which, I mean, it's still very important. It's still good that they were able to do that. They needed to do that. But I was like, let's go back and check it out real quick here. Oh, yeah. But no, I would be excited for a new Jet Set Radio feature. Or, I keep saying feature, but a new Jet Set Radio. I'm excited for Bomb Rush City Cyberfunk. One day. Today's not that day, though. I'd be very excited for that. I am excited for that. I think it's the best chance we have at showing that Jet Set Radio has wings. And I think if Sega sees that and they see, oh, this game's doing well and this is how we want to do it, then we can. Also, belatedly, what's up, Bridget? My bad. Ryu, more like Ryu, don't use the thumb. The thumb's actually feeling okay. I actually brought it out this morning to rewrap it, and I kind of looked at it and benched a little bit. I'm like, it's not as bad as it was before, honestly. It's not nearly as bad as it was before. I'm able to bend it a little bit more. I still can't bend it all the way because I'm still basically retraining the skin to do that. But it doesn't feel bad all that much. I can probably use it as like spacebar. Like you can probably use it like a spacebar, like use my thumb on it and everything like that. So thumb's coming along. That's all I can say. Thumb is coming along. Might not be able to still play for like another or play controller games for like another maybe like 2-3 weeks or so, I would say. Because I'm still trying to bend that thumb. But beyond that, I might be able to play like fighting games again, honestly, if I keep my thumb wrapped up. So we'll see. I'm not going to push it. Because pushing it and being fucking wrong would be awful. It would be terrible. I would like to not be wrong on that. I would like to not have to go back to any form of urgent care or otherwise. All right. I've took a lot of your time. Thank you all for watching. I greatly appreciate it. Let me check my schedule real quick before I say this out loud. Okay, so I will not be here next week, so there will be no bonus stream next week. But on the 30th of April, I plan to do another bonus stream. Like I mentioned, there's some movies that I saw. There was a movie I saw that is free on YouTube, to my huge surprise. Apparently, Max Payne, the film, is on YouTube for free, posted up by Disney? I looked at it confusedly, but it's available. So I'm like, I'm not watching this shit alone. I'm not gonna watch it alone. Fuck that. So I'm gonna make you all watch it with me. I mean, not that I can force you to click on the button to come to my channel and force you to watch it, but it's Maximum Payne himself got a whole film, and it stars Mark Wahlberg. So take that as you will, whether that's a positive or a negative. But that said, hey, thank you for all making that. Don't be my uncle who broke his wrist, was told by the doctor not to do anything to stress, and the next day used his snowblower and re-broke it. There's some sort of age with this, like, age of, like, 50-year-old adult male who's just like, I'll be fine, whatever. Because it happened to my partner's dad, where he broke or injured his leg or knee, and was told, hey, don't stress it. And a week later, this motherfucker goes out and goes skiing. Guess what happened? Guess what fucking happened? Wow, it could be anything. Stop breaking yourself. Give yourself the time. So that's why I'm like, I feel good, but that's making me say, okay, just keep telling myself it's going to be 2 to 3 more weeks before I can use it, so that I make sure that I don't do anything wild to it. all that good stuff. I'm being good. I promise y'all, I'm being good. I seriously promise. All right. Now for real this time. Let's do streaming today if you want to hang out for a little bit longer here. You know what? I'm gonna send you over. Actually, you know what? Nah. I'm gonna send you over to Get Silius. The reason being that hopefully after that 2 to 3 more weeks that we were talking about, I will hopefully be doing a co-stream with him. Once my thumb can actually, play around a little bit more. And I think that should be very positive. It should be good. So he's like the master of indie games and games that are very kind of underknown. So I'm excited to actually do a co-stream with him. We have our game decided and everything like that. So we should be good there. But that said, thank you all for hanging out. Greatly appreciate it. This is the 6 for 10 minutes of stream I showed up for. I extended it just for you, Bridget. Absolutely just for you, Bridget. But yeah, that said, thank you all for hanging out. Thank you for being around for the Funky Fresh stream. Much appreciated. I'll be back tomorrow with more Inscription. I'm going to make Inscription my main midweek game. So we're going to go check out what Get Silius is doing. I have no idea what this game is. Raven's Watch is. So that said, thank you all for hanging out. Greatly appreciated. Much love as always. Take care of yourselves. Be safe out there. Stay cute as always. And pretend I'm giving you the peace sign sideways as I normally do when the camera's on, but it's not on right now. Peace. Take care, y'all. Much love. See ya tomorrow. Oh, well, actually, one more thing. Sorry. One more thing. I will also be doing commentary later tonight for a Guilty Gear Plus R Invitational. I'll be doing top 8, so I don't know when that specifically is going to be, but I do have the channel and the starting time, which is in like 30-40 minutes or so, for the Invitational itself to start. It's like Melon 126 or something like that. But it's in my schedule if you want to find that and you want to watch some commentary / some the best plus R that the US can put together as well. So check that out all the same. All right, for real this time. Take care of yourselves. Have a good one. Stay cute. Be safe. Peace. Later. Bye.